Hello, welcome to the Honest Wargamer. I'm your host, Rob. It's Thursday night, not Thursday day, and it's Ladies' Night.
All right.
All right. I'm joined by Nick Os-Pertelli.
Hello, Reboot Samus.
And we're also joined by Mr. Toom As Litunon.
I mean, at least that still comes to the same, wording, right? Or the spelling. I don't
It's
know.
close enough to your name,
Yeah.
which is what we want.
That's how you
Mate,
pronounce it, isn't it?
I'm just down.
So, welcome to everyone who's joined us live. Joe Cra, I can see you in the chat. Whippy
Hello.
Sticks, Asterix of Doom. If you're watching us live on Twitch, Facebook, or YouTube, hit like, subscribe, do a share, throw some hashtags up, possibly post on Competitive 40k.
Just spam it in there.
No, Competitive 40k, the Reddit post, which is Tom's favourite place to rage hate people.
That's only for advertising American things and Hellstorm, apparently. So. It's the only thing that's there for advertising.
Also, a big shout out to Datcom. I see you in the chat. Love you.
What
What up? So welcome. If you listen to the podcast, stay hydrated. Wash your hands. If you are listening to the podcast, then don't forget you can join me live in my Hunker in the Bunker episodes midday until the virus is over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I just want to say a big shout and love out to everyone in the world, wherever you are, especially the 40k community.
Yeah, there's no need to stockpile Rob because he's available daily.
You might need the toilet roll because of all the crap I'll talk. Right, I want to find out how you are, but more importantly, Tom Layton, how are you? I've missed you loads. What have you been doing?
Mate, I'm all right. You've already asked Nikos. He's been there with you all day,
Yes.
mate. So it's like, he's had his time. I'm coming. I'm all right. I'm a bit tired. Obviously, where I work, we've had quite a few staff off recently, and I'm not gonna be working from home because my job is a key, whatever it is.
Can you not get like a
Critical.
really long stick with a grabber?
Yeah.
No, it's not a grabber. It's a product
Yeah.
to keep him away from
Yeah.
me.
Just do.
You filthy children, stay away.
So you, most people don't know, but Tom works with kids with needs, which is interesting.
No, not anymore. Just general kids. They all have.
But they still have needs, don't they?
Still very needy.
They're very needy
I mean,
kids.
I don't know how to say that about it being TOS, but kids in general tend to have needs.
Agreed.
They're interesting characters in general principle. But
Do you find, and I mean this in the nicest way, do you find that going from your day job dealing with children and then going directly to dealing with competitive 40k players is functionally the same?
Mate, it's like one group of WhatsAppers, which I'm not going to name, but going round. One of them is going around threatening to fight people.
What?
And then when this gets brought up, the other guy in the chat says, "Oh, well, it wasn't me, so I can't take responsibility for that." It's like, mate, here you are condemning these guys for doing something that was probably a bad idea, but then saying that you have no responsibility to criticize your own mate.
I want you to stop there because I
Alright.
don't want to ever know if you're talking about a group of children or a group of 40k players, and I just don't want to know.
We'll leave the mystery there.
I didn't realize those things were mutually exclusive, to be perfectly honest with you, but,
That's a good point. All right, well, welcome to everyone to the show. I hope you're well, wherever you're watching from in the world. 40k has had some big news this week. We're going to talk about it. Just want to say a big love and blessing to everyone who is supporting the Honest Wargamer on Patreon. You guys are the business. So big love to you so much. So listen, it's an exciting time in 40k. Obviously, before that though, Tom, I asked you how you are. Like, obviously, you don't want to get into the virus too much. But England's about.
unlike me.
Yeah, but England's about to go to the lockdown. Are you okay? Are you well? I'm worried about you. Just making sure you're okay.
Oh, mate, I'm fine. I work with snotty children, so my immune system is insane.
Would you say it's a 3+ invulnerable save you have?
Yeah.
I had to get a DPR, mate. I don't get the
Oh,
invulnerable
you just
save.
get a
just
damage
a
I
prevention.
get
4+?
it, I just don't care.
4+ DPR.
Yeah, I'd give it a 2+ DPR.
wow.
I'm like Makari.
Yeah, you're like the Ironstone, but the latent stone.
That you ran down. Yeah.
Reducing all virus damage by 1 to a minimum of 1.
Right. So to everyone.
I've been listening to Galaxy in Flames where they virus bomb the planet.
Oh, nice.
And I'm just like, I'm one of those dudes in the bunker.
Just
Except I'm not in the bunker. I'm just stood out in the open, tanking it to the chin. I'm just like, all right, good.
You're a Death Guard Marine just walking forward slowly, just
Yeah, just walking
just
forward.
taking it. Yeah, I've got this. All right. Well, I'm glad you're okay. Because I was worried about it.
You guys all right? Have you just locked yourselves in like a kind of lovely gay loving? You know?
Yeah, exactly like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were
There's
talking
Nathan somewhere in
about
the other
we were
room.
talking extensively about our dicks earlier, weren't we?
Yeah, well, so yeah, the
course
news
you were.
today is we're going to be talking about big green fellas, Space Wolves, and we're also going to be talking about our dick
dicks.
building.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you've
it
not
is.
built your dick,
Dick discussion.
yeah, dick discussion. So
We'll be showing you
yes,
our dicks.
some of them are bigger than others. I've got a 19 dick, and Tom's got Nick's got an 18 dick.
I only went for an 18.
Yeah. So of course, what we're talking about is if you look at the WTC pack, or as it's been known for a long time, the 40k ETC sort of style, which is where you play Eternal War missions, so objective-based gaming. At the same time, you draw your Maelstrom cards, which I have in front of me, and as you'll see, mine are Harlequin themed because I'm awesome.
Oh, well, here's the thing. You don't actually get to use the specific faction cards.
No.
Yeah, we know that. I just want the art.
Just making sure before I go and all
No,
the
don't
prep.
worry about it. Prep is
I tell you what I have in front of me though. Look at this.
what is it?
This is the Belgian Team Championships mission scoring sheet, and it has on it all of the Maelstroms and how you score them. And on the back is what we actually did because we ignored those rules.
Yeah. All right. Well, so
I'll see work out who that was against actually.
yeah, we're going to talk.
No
So we're
clue.
going to talk deck building because one of the things that you do, and we talked a bit about it last week at WTC. One of the things that you do is you build a deck. Me and Nick actually have played a game already with in this style. Tom has played hundreds of games in this style before. It was my first ever experience of a game in that style. So
Same.
I can give you my Nick's first as well. So we can give you our feedback and what we thought about it. Nick, I haven't asked you how you are. How are you? Also, Twitch chat and all the other chats. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all good. Thank you very much. Played some 40k today, so pretty good.
Go well.
Who did you
Learned some
play, Nick?
things. I played Ruboat Simus.
I played some 40k, and unlike last week when I played 40k, it went beyond turn 1, which was great news. Yeah, and I also gave first turn away.
You did.
It did, but it was just really fun. Like, I know we're going to talk about the news first, but yeah, I had a really fun. I had one turn where I only rolled 5s and 6s, and on Smasher Guns and Smites and not custom mega cannons, but like Smasher Guns on Waz Bombs, it was hilarious.
Yeah.
In a turn, I killed 2 Demon Princes, a billion Marines,
Billion Marines.
a billion Marines.
Half unit of Berserkers.
It was just glorious. Yeah, Tom, I rolled 3 Smasher Guns. I rolled 9 shots, and I hit with them all, and I generated some more, and then I wounded with them all, and I killed 11 Marines with, was it 3?
It was 3 or 4 guns.
3 or 4 guns killed 11 Marines, which was great. So
They're all right for 33 points,
Yeah.
aren't they?
that's so good. And they're also so
Not bad.
survivable for 33 points.
Yeah, for 33 points. What, you get
Bonkers.
6
They might as well-
wounds,
they might as
toughness
well be
5?
free.
They might as well be free.
Mad.
6 wounds, toughness 5, yeah.
Yeah.
5 up save base.
5 up invulnerable save. Yeah. So
No, 5 up armor save base, but still a
Yeah.
save.
a load of people, Wolf Piscal, who is a huge fan of you, Tom, says he loves your wolf put beard.
I left my Ragnar on the shelf,
Right,
sorry.
Okay. Well, yeah. Anyway, I had a great time playing. Nick's a really pro gamer. He brought a hilarious
Pro
Chaos
gamer.
Horde. What?
I was just exclaiming at the pro gamer comment.
Do you not like that comment?
No, it's fine. I'll take it.
Okay, you don't.
Can I show you what I've been
Yeah,
doing,
go
by
on.
the
What
way?
have you been up to? Also, Twitch chat. What have you been up to?
I've been trying to... So I didn't
Hi,
realise
Didrin.
that the tournament I was going to this weekend was this weekend and not the weekend after. So I was a little bit behind on the painting. So I've been doing a bit of painting to catch up for this event, which has now been cancelled. So I've got... These are Element Games movement trays, and I've
Oh
done
yeah,
those.
nice.
So you can those. There you are. I've got 9 of those done down there. I've done a Caldor Drago.
Well
There
done.
he is. Here we are. Put some effort into that. I've got a librarian over here. who is themed alongside Rob's Ogrins.
Nice.
He's a blick fella.
Nice.
Oh, he's Blick. He's a Blick fella.
He's blick
Oh,
fella.
Blick fella
Yeah.
to use with your dick.
Kind of like the librarian from Dawn of War 2, and then I've got a squad of 10 interceptors on a tray here. There we go.
Oh,
There we go. I'm quite pleased with those. They look
Have you
all right.
magnetised the tray as well?
I haven't magnetized it, no, because I already have issues pulling him in and out. So
someone
like-
clip that. Also, a big love to Asterix of Doom says he's building the malign sorcery box while listening to Warhammer content the past couple of days.
Nice.
Wolfie's Carl is trying to green stuff a beard on my Slan priest. Why?
why not?
Why?
Maybe it
Diadrin-
helps him contemplate the cosmos.
Oh yeah, I wonder about the cosmos. Diadrin's building Magnus, and Pappy Bean says because the Australian government doesn't give a shit about social distancing, I'll just be going to work like a mobile fanny tree, like a feculent.
I mean, you've still got those fires going on as well, don't you?
No,
So
they've
you're
got no
having a great
fires.
time. They've put out all the fires.
So
It's
not that I
just
want to
not
get
that we
too much
haven't
into it,
had
but 2020 has so far. We've had a pandemic, we've had fires. There has been a swarm. Like if you Google locusts and you actually look what's happening in Africa, they have had
Really?
a plague of locusts. Yesterday, I think Salt Lake City had a earthquake on a 5 to a 7. We just need it to start raining blood, and then we're done.
Brexit got done as well.
Oh, we got it done! Yeah, we got it done!
All I was happy is that it got done in time.
Yeah,
for
that's
for
all
this.
that matters. We got it done.
Yeah. Victory! We win the race.
Okay. And also, Brad Glover says, I'm on 2 out of 90, day 2 of 90 in isolation. We could do this. So I've been building some
Yeah,
deacon.
well, to be fair, like that just means Brad's gonna poop out something absolutely
Yeah,
insane
I
for a hobby
fucking
project.
hate Brad Glover.
He's gonna run out of miniatures though, surely.
Yeah,
some
that's
point.
the problem. He takes 2 lots of miniatures and bangs them together.
Yeah.
And he's got a prodigious output level anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with all that free time,
How many armies do we think he'll get out?
yeah, he just
Poop out.
winds me the fuck up,
3.
if I'm honest. So if you don't know, you can follow Brad Glover on Instagram and or Twitter. Just type in Brad Glover. It's a very obvious name, yeah, but a very unobvious person because he's got like modelling skills like I don't even know. Like he must. Brad, if you're in the chat, I reckon he gets high as fuck on mushrooms. Like honestly, like locks
Same.
himself in a room with like a pen and a paper, and he's
Yeah.
just like comes out and he's like, I'm gonna make this. No idea what it is. That's how I think he models.
I mean, I'm fine because I've got something I can convert. You see, I've got Scrivo's army. I'm gonna turn into something
Oh, nice.
beautiful.
Have you got
and
some custom
amazing.
mega cannons there?
No, this is Scrivo's.
Why have you got Scrivo's army?
I'm sure he won't mind.
I drove down to his house like in December and borrowed 6 of these, and I've never not given them back.
He won't mind if you give him a bit of the old Tom Layton magic. will
Yeah,
he?
you put a bit. You do
Oh,
a bit
mate,
of
well,
that gorgeous
he can-
customization.
Mate, when you put some on eBay, you can put was converted by Tom Layton, and you wouldn't need to write that on it because there'd be like a massive crystal sprouting out the back, and everyone would know exactly where it came from.
Yeah.
I've still got some spare crystals somewhere actually. Where are they? I've got a tub, so I'll see if I could show. Oh, never mind. So I've got like a rack over there that's just got loads of tubs full of stuff in it, and in one of those I have a crystal tub, and I'm certain I've still got about 24 crystals in that tub.
Okay. This,
I'm gonna put this
if
back
no one knows what we're referring to,
before I-
one time Tom made a whole bunch of mega cannons out of crystals, and it was the most awful thing anyone has ever seen. And
You want to see
no
'em?
one wants to see him. They
You
suck.
don't get a choice.
Brad Glover says he's made a £200 order, but we don't know if that's of methamphetamines and or like plastic.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, I don't know if that's plastic crack or just straight crack. Whatever he does to do his hobby, but it's good.
Here you go, mate. Look at that.
Okay, there you go. If you guys want to see on the screen there's a genuinely awful model.
Says here, no Umis on the sign. There you go.
So bad.
Got a custom I airbrushed their bases and used water effects on
Just
them.
stop talking about it like you're
Make
a
it
golden
worse.
demon painter. So yeah, the next thing I did was glue the crystal to the other crystal.
Yeah. Right, so I drilled through the crystal like
Oh my
that,
god.
and pinned them all together. And then I put a base in them, and then I used some chain and some green stuff to keep them all together. And I put it on an airbrush cork
Some
base.
say this is
And I
why
used paper
This is why the world's ending.
and netting that you use
What,
for
'cause of Tom's
detergent bags
Yeah, because of this.
to make a
We're
camo
just
net over the
ignoring
top.
him. Thank you.
Then I've got a bag of green stuff.
That's
down
just,
here.
in fact, actually,
I did. Oh, no, that's not the crystal bucket. All right.
again, he's back out the
Beautiful.
sin bin. Right, okay. Rob Edwards, 40k, hello. And Papa P says, I respect the hustle, Tom. Like, Papa P is all on your side.
It was very cheap. It was. Let's put it this way: this entire box of crystal Met guns was cheaper than one Met gun on the GW website, and I can sell them for 20 quid Met gun. I reckon that's the buyer's rate.
Yeah, stick them on eBay. Stick them on eBay.
Why is this what we're talking about? We've got so much to talk about today, and this is bollocks.
We've got Gazgul Flecker to talk about.
You're trying to off-put me just flaming the shit out of a new
Right,
model.
okay. Well, earlier on I thought of a reason that it was good, and then Nick told me it was every phase, and now I'm wrong. Right, okay. Dude Day says, do you know if I can add my Prime sub to my normal sub to help the channel? Unfortunately, you can't. You can subscribe versus with Amazon Prime and then support us on Patreon if you want to, Dude Day, and that would be awesome. And if anyone wants to do anything like that, that would be rad. But don't worry about it if you can't. I understand everyone's going to be having a really hard time in the minute. Our job is to make you guys laugh at home and have fun. And so that's what we're going to be doing. So, and then...
Or just inspire them with excellent hobby projects.
Yeah, Tom, like, I haven't asked you. I've asked Nick this, although I don't know if I have asked you, Nick. I'm going to ask you both very quick, and then we'll move on. Probably there won't be a competitive 40k tournament. We'll not talk about a specific one, but there probably won't be a competitive 40k tournament for 6 months. Yeah? Like, there might be.
Who knows?
There might be, but there probably won't, I don't think. You know, like 4 to 6 months, which is just mind-blowing. Is this the answer that we needed for Space Marines?
So you fix Space Marines, a global pandemic.
What, as in it gives the meta chance to react, or more time for another army to come out?
More time for another army to come out, I think, more specifically. What I mean is...
Or just
Well, that's what I mean is, we probably
okay.
have seen the end of this edition right now. Like, it's just done.
Well, and also, if there is a new edition, the first book out in the new edition is always the Space Marine book, isn't it? Are they going to release a new Space Marine book?
The new Space Marine meta incoming, Space Marines 3.0. It's like Rush Hour, it just gets steadily more shit.
How dare you? Rush Hour 3 was as good as Rush Hour 1, and I'll challenge you on that all day. Chris Tucker is a legend. Jackie Chan is not a legend. He's an awful human being, unfortunately.
Is he?
Yeah.
I don't
Really?
know anything about
I love him in
as a human being.
films.
know
I
the
don't know
cartoon,
much about him
He
in
is like
personal
a
life.
third of Chinese cinema, and that's not bad, apart from the Chinese organ harvest human beings. And it really depends on whether or not you think that, against their will, it really depends on whether or not you think that's a bad or a good thing. I often tend...
I mean, the jury's out on that one. It's a personal...
Sorry, Tom, what was the last bit you said?
No, it's just jury's out on that one. It's a personal moral judgment. Do you think organ harvesting is bad?
Yeah, and also forced labour camps and like 4 million
Yeah,
people being in
yeah.
re-education camps.
You know, well, let people make their own minds up.
You make your mind up. I've decided I think that that's bad, and Jackie Chan supports it. So
You're influencing people's opinions now,
That
mate,
sucks.
with that.
Well,
People might think it's good, and it's not acceptable for you to influence their opinion on forced
anyway,
labour camps.
can we talk about fucking Warhammer, please? So neither of you two are bothered about you two both have plans to go to tournaments. How do you feel about it? It's the same
Feel
as everyone
sad.
feels. Yeah.
I feel sad.
So they've cancelled the home nations for 40k in Ireland, which is like, okay. There goes like 170 quid that I'm now trying to sneak my way back into. But at the end of the day, like, it's so insignificant. Like, even if I lose all that money, it's like, it's not saying, oh, I'm like mega wealthy, because I'm not. But it's more a case of, in the grand scheme of things, with what this is doing, it really doesn't matter all that much.
Okay.
So, just it's kind of a bit.
Oh, in the grand scheme of
personal.
of the world.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm kind of a bit like, that's kind of annoying, but it's
But we've
not.
got like the best hobby to survive through it, right?
Well, also, I'm really lucky with my job as well. Like, it's not the best paid, but I don't have to worry about anything with
Like,
it.
have you seen those guys
Because-
who their hobby is that professional slaps? You know, where they like slap each other.
Russian
Yeah,
guys.
that's
Yeah,
what is
mate,
the worst time for
I
them.
would do really well at that. Look at this. Look at the size of this
Yeah,
hand.
but it's attached to a fucking
yeah.
noodle. It's going to do nothing.
Yeah, I know, but if I get
You
the
need the
noodle
weight
big,
behind
mate,
it.
have you seen that episode of Family Guy where Quagmire is just like straight discovers internet porn,
Your
and then like one arm just gets
your
huge.
hand is like a solar sail. Like it's massive, but like it's so flimsy.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't do anything with my left arm. Like I'll just get my right arm absolutely united up, get my face all beefed, like you know that Neanderthal picture of what humans should look like, where it's like massive forehead just jutting out. It's just like you're meant to be able to take physical blows. And I'll just become that, and I'll just start smacking. Be fine. When 40k, mate, without any competitive 40k for 6 months, that's what I'm going to get into. I'm going to become a professional Russian slapping man. That's the aim.
I'm into it. Yeah, but you're going to train up. That's
Do one of those.
Yeah.
Do one of those pictures every
And I'll
day.
become really like unbalanced,
Time
so I'll be like T-posing and like this is like still tiny in that, and this one's just absolutely jacked. I'm just about to be slouching like this,
like an
just
English
walking around.
longbowman. All right, okay. Can we please talk about 40k now? Right. So, Andy Dunn says we've got no excuses now to not have fully painted armies, and I'm going to repeat.
Exactly, yeah.
And I'm going to repeat what I said on every show that we've done so far. But just in case,
Nicely painted armies
yeah,
as well.
just in case the 40k community like only listens to this one podcast or just you guys, we've got the best hobby. We could read all of the books.
Yep.
Like there's Lutin09. You and me have been listening to him loads, right? Ever since Wildman came on the show.
Mm-hmm.
There's all the audiobooks which you can go on Audible and get, and they're like there was a 2-for-1 sale
Yeah.
on recently.
I don't know about that one. All I know is it's got like 5 credits, so I'm just like blasting for Audible. It's such good
Tip
value.
for Audible: if you go on eBay, sometimes people sell Audible vouchers.
Do
So
they?
yeah, you can buy like Audible vouchers, and then all you have to do is send them the book that you want, and they give you like some sort of code for it.
That's
Done it
amazing.
before. It's pretty cheap.
Well, so that's a great way of getting it of experience 40k. The looting stuff is really good for the narrative.
Yeah.
And then we can all build and paint our armies finally. And then
Yeah.
like we got the new edition coming up. Like obviously it's not been officially announced. That's this weekend, I think. So then we now just get to like just roll with it, which is really quite exciting.
Yeah.
So and a great opportunity to do all of our backlog. I'm going to try and paint up all my Tzeentch demons. Because, like, you know when you just do that...
Just in time for another battle tank to come out. But
Well, no, you know when you just, like, really riding a bet. I'm like, I reckon demons will get some new love
What in 40k?
in 40k. Yeah.
Hope so, because they've got
And then you just smash it.
I don't know. I've got most of my spare backlog currently is AOS unpainted stuff, but I do have a secret 40k army that is in my cupboard, unbuilt and unpainted.
A secret 40k
Wait, so
army?
Secret 40k army.
What is it?
I reckon he's gone Eldar.
I reckon he's got an Abek army. All right,
Okay.
that's the guess. If someone guesses it,
saying
will you
anything.
let us know? Or it's going to be a secret?
Yeah. Okay. If someone in the chat guesses it, I'll say
Is it Space
Well, I mean, there's like
Wolves?
16 armies, so someone's going to
It's
get
never
it.
going to be Space Wolves.
no. It's not Space Wolves.
No,
Not knights. I've already got knights.
and they're gorgeous. Well, I'm going to keep painting my orcs anyway, but then I'm also painting my demons. So, and then I'm hoping, come on, 15 flamers being really good in 40k. That's really good. Iron Hands, you've already got them.
Already got that.
Already got
I've
that.
already got.
You say he's
I've already got
got
all
that.
of the Marines and Chaos Marines.
Isn't it the Tzeentch demons with the eyeballs?
No, that's not. It's an unbuilt, unpainted one.
Unbuilt and unpainted.
It means it's Xenos or demons,
It's
doesn't
got to
it?
be. It's not going to be Eldar though, is it? Like,
Or it could. Yeah. Sisters of Battle?
Nope.
He does not look like his sister's a battle player. He's
Why
got a
not?
girlfriend. Pure
Do you
Evil,
have
I have
some
way
kind
too
of
much.
Do you have some kind of preconceived notion of what a Sisters of Battle
I
player looks
actually
like?
do, but and which is a horrible thing to
I
do.
feel like that's a bit
Yeah,
bigoted,
you're
maybe.
right, and I'm sorry. Right, anyway, Pure Evil says, I have way too much Death Guard sat waiting to be painted. Hopefully something happens to make them decent. That would be good.
Yeah, I reckon they'll get a new book soon and make them decent as well. Because they were on the first out, weren't they? They've not had a book for 2 and a bit years now, have they?
Yeah, no, you're right. And they
So-
could really do with some love, truth be told.
Mm.
Scrivo says, I'm a Sisters of Battle player you get, which literally confirms everything I think about them.
Yeah, he looks like a simp, doesn't he?
Wow! Please sub.
I'm giving him so much grief this episode. It's totally
It's not
unwarranted.
fair. All right, so let's talk about 40k news. Last week we saw the models for It's only taken us 25 minutes to get here. I'm really proud of us all. Last week we
Good
saw the models for Ghazghkull and Ragnar Blackmane.
We did.
We all decided the Ghazghkull one was excellent and the Ragnar Blackmane one was horrible.
Well, the top,
I didn't think we decided it was horrible.
the bottom half,
Sorry,
bottom half is awful, but the top half of him is fine. Just his pose.
Yeah.
I think you could repose that guy with a bit of work.
He
What I'd like
What
to
him on
see
a
him
crystal?
is like crouched down, almost like just about to lunge, like stalking someone like a wolf.
I want to see him. So currently his model's like this.
Oh, you want to see him
I want to see him literally sideways, like
just horizontal level?
Like, have you seen from Street Fighter with M Bison when he does I do it on the scene like that. That's the one. You can see that? No. So no one's into
No.
that.
No.
Okay. All right. Well. All right. So, but you like to him anyway.
I like the model's cool, but it's just the posing of him, which is a bit shit.
Okay. All right. But they put some new rules up on the community site, so we've seen some
They
things.
have,
So
yeah.
rules are going to get, Orcs are going to get some stuff. Now, Tom's going to give us some details on it, and we are going to, I'm going to just talk some things through. So this is Orcs to new rules. So Ghazghkull Thraka has got a 4-up invulnerable save, which I think, is this what I want? No, this is the clan psychic powers.
So I've actually got this. I've actually got this broken down, Robbie.
I prefer you to. Thank you so much.
Okay, so the first one I'm going to do is Makari very quickly because he was the first one that Games Workshop announced. Now, I'm not entirely au fait with the Makari lore.
I'm on it while you explain it.
know what he does lore-wise. So I'll go through the rules very quickly then because I don't know the lore and the model is entirely opinion-based anyway. So if we're talking about Makari, I've actually written 2 pages on Ghazghkull, so I need to scroll down a bit. So as far as I can see, he's kind of a joke unit. His stat line is he's got weapon skill with a skill of 4. His strength and toughness are 3. He's got 4 wounds. He's got 2 attacks, and he's got a 6+ armor save. But he gets a 2+ invulnerable save for being suspiciously lucky, which is why I say he's a joke unit. He's got a 5-inch movement, which increases by 2 if he's within 3 inches of Ghazghkull, which means that he can keep up with Ghazghkull's movement 7. And then he's got leadership 6, which he then gives out to Goth Gretchen within 12 inches. He gives out a 6+ DPR for friendly units within 6 inches if he himself is within 3 inches of Ghazghkull. So a lot of his rules are based off being with Ghazghkull. But unlike Gaz, he can't be taken in detachments that aren't Goths. So you have to be a Goth detachment to get Makari. He's also a character, so think about that. He's a character with a 2+ invulnerable save that's going to clock in around the 50-point mark because he's power level 3. So even if you don't take Ghazghkull, he's not necessarily a terrible choice. In fact, he's the cheapest HQ unit the Orcs have. But the problem is you have to take him in a Goth detachment, which you really don't want to do.
Is he a character slot?
He is a character. He is a HQ,
HQ
slot,
slot,
yeah, which fills it out because a lot of the time you'll be taking 3 battalions. The problem is to get the cheap HQ, you have to make one of your battalions Goths. I mean, if one of your battalions is going to be, let's say you've got an Evil Sons battalion, and then you've got a Bad Moons battalion, and then you've got a 3rd battalion, which normally you make Evil Sons because it provides you with extra Gretchen to Grot Shield onto for your boys. So you're giving up the ability to Grot Shield onto those extra 30 Gretchen in order to get a cheaper battalion, essentially. And it's going to be cheaper by like 12 points because you can just take a Wade Boy in there instead. So, but he is a very, very durable character for his points, and he's really small as well, so he's quite easy to hide.
Yeah, so I've now got the narrative
Not
on him if you want.
Yeah, go
So
for it, mate.
Once
Go
upon
for
a
it.
time, read 2nd edition, Ghazghkull had a personal standard bearer, Makari. He was quite fond of Makari. Makari had no battle application, he had no guns, and poorer fighting ability than a guardsman. But he had a banner, and a big banner, and he waved it about eagerly. In fact, so eagerly, he often got shot at, but Makari was a special Gretchen. He was ridiculously lucky. So lucky, in fact, he had an unmodified 2+ save. This is in the olden days. Equivalent of a 2+ invuln save. And he lived to the age of 9 standard years, which, when one considers the pitifully short lifespan of most Grots, makes him an old man. So walking into the most dangerous battle zones in the whole of the Grimdark universe was one plucky little Gretchen with a banner standing side by side with the most powerful orc in existence. This is...
Yeah, but how did he
This
die?
is great.
He's not dead yet, is he?
No, but then Games Workshop decided
Clearly
that Big
lived
Bad
to the old
Ghazghkull,
age
Mad
9.
Uruk Thraka, having a personal Gretchen wasn't grimdark enough. So Big G sat on Makari by accident and fed him to a squig.
Oh, well, that's
Oops.
a bit of a
Yeah.
Shitty end for him, isn't it?
However, the article then goes on to, and it's written by some of my favourite article writers, it then goes on to say, fuck that. After several years of regret, Games Workshop decided they had been mean to Makari and paid tribute to him in the 7th edition Orc Codex. Now Makari's banner pole is a relic. However, we now know he's got a model, as in here. So now decided when Ghazghkul's new model coming out, go ahead and bring Makari back, banner and all. Additionally, they created a narrative where it's in a hilarious inverse of the truth. It's Makari's who's more famous or well known, as opposed to the big mystery who is Ghazghkul. So there you go. That's where he originally comes from. He's found in 2nd edition, and would run around with him. That's cool. Didn't know about that.
Cool. I like it that a war boss
It's the
enjoys
plot.
having a little pet Gretchen around who waves a big banner around.
Yeah, I like that too. Yeah, that's really sweet. Plus, also, if you were one of those people that wanted to run a Gretchen army, but wanted to have an orc in it, you know, you could have Ghazghkul in it, but be like, really, it's Makari who's leading my army. Like, truthfully, he's
the power behind the plan.
yeah. I'm well into that. I'm so into that. Yeah, that's great. Because I'm going to run Ghazghkul Thraka, and here's why I shouldn't, is when I think where Tom comes next.
Well, so that's not actually what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go through his rules, and I come to a conclusion, and then I give you an alternative way of running Ghazghkul that I think is more suited to his rework. Because I don't want to call it a direct buff or a direct nerf. I want to call it a rework, because essentially that's what it is. It's an adjustment. It's not necessary. I've got my own opinions on it, but mainly because of a role that I think he fulfills, and not because specifically of Ghazghkul himself.
So he's had a new data slate, is the news. I'm sure you're all aware. But
yeah. So I've broken this down into 4 different categories before we get to kind of like the analysis. So the first one is called the good. And this is what I like about Ghazghkul, the new changes. The first change that I really like about him is that he can now go in any orc detachment. So he doesn't just have to be in a Goth detachment where you'd stick him in like a patrol or something. Now that's not necessarily a bad thing anyway, because you can run a Goth battalion and you run 3 squads of 30 Gretchen, you run Ghazghkul, and you run Makari, and that's your battalion, right? So, but what this does enable you to do is to stick him in an evil.
Is running 30 Gretchen genuinely good idea?
Yes, because it's the cheapest way of filling out a battalion and getting the command points.
But don't you need to not have 30? Couldn't you just have 10?
No, you need 3 squads.
Oh, you mean 3 times 10,
3 times
not
10.
30? Sorry.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
thought you meant 3 times 30.
No, you're fine. No, you're all good, bro. You're all good. So it means you can stick him in a Bad Moons or a Evil Sons battalion, and it won't cost you your work there. The second thing I really, really like is Goth units within 6 inches can now reroll 1s to hit in melee, which is fine for fluffier players. I don't think you'll generally see Orc boys in Goth detachments in competitive. His weapons have had a rework. He's got Gork's Claw, which is his melee grabber. And that's now Strength times 2, which it always was, AP minus 4, which it always was, but now it's damage 4 rather than damage 3. So he gets an extra point of damage in melee. His gun is now Mork's Raw rather than the 2 big shooters strapped together that he had before. And it's 36-inch range, no change there. It's Assault 12, which is double the number of shots, Strength 5, AP 1, damage 1. So it's not a bad little shooting gun. And that pretty much concludes the good and what I like about it. The next section is called the static, which is the stuff that stayed the same. So he still has Great War. So Orc infantry within 6 inches get an extra attack. It doesn't matter on your clan.
And they can run in charge,
He
right?
still has... well, yes, they can.
Yep.
But that's a war boss rule. So, yeah, it's pretty standard. He's got the bosses watching, which is a 6-inch range. You can whack units to keep them on the board. So they take D3 mortal wounds. They then automatically pass a morale check. He still has Here We Go, which is reroll 1 on both dice when charging. He has Mob Rule, which is the leadership bubble. You get your leadership equals whatever the largest unit within 6 inches is. And he still has Daka Daka Daka. So his rolls of 6s to hit will get him extra shots. But also, if he's in the Goth attachment, he'll benefit from that as well and get 6s in melee are also extra attacks. And he still keeps his 4+ invulnerable save from the Prophet of Gorgon Mork. So that's the stuff that stayed the same. The rest, and then the next section is called The Rest. Because I didn't want to just say, I'm not a massive fan. So he's lost the infantry keyword, and he's become a monster. And this has numerous implications, including that he can't benefit from Grot Shield, which would have been the only reason really to take Goth detachment, and he can't benefit from Dead Jump. So you can't jump Ghazghkul, you can't Grot Shield Ghazghkul.
Oh, what? And he can't go through ruins.
And he can't go through ruins either because he's not an infantry unit. And he also doesn't benefit from his own +1 attack rule because he's not an infantry unit. The second thing I've got noted down here is it looks like he's going to be going way up in points. So he's increased to power level 14, which makes me think he's going to be around the 280 to 300 points mark, which is a big markup on what it used to be before because it was around 250, I believe. So it looks like GW believe that they've made him stronger, and that's why they've increased his points cost. I'm not entirely sure I agree. So the fourth bit that I have here is called the fucking stat line.
Well,
so
he doesn't like just a quick comparison. He doesn't do
Yeah.
what he doesn't even close to do what Gulliman does.
Well, Gulliman's
Yeah,
So one thing I was going to bring up with Ragnar later is what kind of characters do you see in competitive play at the minute? You don't really see characters that run around and just kill things. There are a couple of exceptions to this. You've got Smash Captains. There you go. Exactly. They're very, very cheap, so you don't mind if you lose them. They're very, very fast. And they're specifically built to do a job, and they do it quite reliably because you can actually get them across the board very, very quickly, and they hit very, very hard. Other than that, you don't see too many of these characters in competitive. You mainly see characters that are there to make the rest of the army stronger. So it doesn't matter how good you are at doing that role if that role isn't warranted, right? It could be that I'm a goalkeeper in football that likes to take corners, and I'm very good at taking corners. But that's not in demand in competitive play because it has its own kind of problems, right? And therefore, I don't have a role in good teams because no one needs that role doing, right? Whereas I think a lot of these characters suffer a similar thing. So with Ghazghkull, he's got weapon skill. Sorry, you go on, Rob.
No. I was just going to slow it down a little and say that I agree. It's why we see assassins put into a list, right? Because they individually. You pick an assassin. You don't just pick an assassin. You want an assassin. You want a role. And assassins do some unique jobs, or they do a very specialized job very, very well.
Exactly. Yeah, and it comes down to your workbook, right, and list building and theory behind it. You've got your pivot, and that's what you build your list around, and everything else in that list is designed to improve it. And the thing that is a pivot is very rarely my character walks in and smashes you in the face. The only exception, I think, would be Magnus Mortarion duo lists.
Yes. I was just trying to think of examples, but no, you're right. Like a lot, 40k truthfully is like there's a lot of damage done in ranged, right? Like in most examples, and even when the Castellan was a thing, the damage that was coming out like in combat, which was still prodigious, via the foot stomps, wasn't anywhere near as good. It was quite short lived that we would have the combat knights running across the board. They existed for 3 or 6 months, but like they're very different. Again, that's a big vehicle, right? It's a big monster. So yeah, I understand and agree with what you're saying. Yeah, I do. I would say though, if we'll finish off and we'll do like a
well, I say finish up. We're halfway down the first page.
All right. Well, no. When we finish
on.
up, I'll do my next bit. I promise.
Okay, that's fine. So we'll talk about the stat line a little bit. Things that have stayed the same. Weapon skill 2+, still the same. Ballistic skill 5+, still the same. Leadership 8, still the same. And save 2+, still the same. His toughness has gone up. So it's gone up from toughness 6 to toughness 7. And then his movement, strength, and attacks are now all in a damage table. And the damage table works 7 to 12, 3 to 6, 1 to 2. Those are the increments. Movement, 7, 6, 5. Strength, 7, 6, 5. Attacks, 5, 6, 7. So he gets more attacks as he goes up, but as he goes down, but that's about it. Everything else comes down. So the wounds, I think, are the main point of debate. So the wounds have gone up 4 points from 8 wounds to 12. So he loses the ability to be untargetable for being a character, but he gains the ability to only take 4 wounds per phase to compensate for that. And the reason why I think this happened is that the game's designers have seen Ghazghkull and they thought he really should be this higher number of wounds than 9. And I would have assumed that they're going to do the same for Gulliman when the next Marine book comes out, right? Because he's one of these big characters that really should be like huge.
Yeah, they look to be about the same size, don't they?
Exactly, yeah. So they've compensated for it by saying, well, you can only take 4 wounds per phase. And the question is he more durable? So what's more durable? 8 wounds, toughness 6, untargetable. 12 wounds, toughness 7, targetable, but can only take 4 per turn. And throughout the week, I've been taking the stance that the 8 wounds is better. But I think I've broken this down to a bit of context as to where it's more durable and where it isn't. So, in a situation where Ghazi is running around by himself, where he would never be screened off anyway, I think the new Ghazghkull datasheet is more durable. In a situation where your opponent has absolutely no capability to reach out and grab units, that's Mono Blood Angels and Genestealer Cults and lists like that, and they're entirely reliant upon one-shotting units in the fight phase each turn, again, Blood Angels, Genestealer Cults, then he's more durable.
Yeah, like we've seen this, in 40k continuously, right? Like you have, you have an overwhelming amount of output put into a phase, and because the ranges in 40k are so huge, you can almost bring everything to bear. But
not just that, the movement as well.
Pardon me?
Not just that, the movement as well.
Yeah, it's so huge, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Good point.
so fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you could even make 40k like a 12 by 8 table and it'd still be fine. Like, it's one of those. So a couple more. In a situation where the entirety of the enemy shooting power has the ability to pick out characters, then New Ghazi is also more durable. And I think that covers the 3 bases where New Ghazi is actually more durable. So if you're using him as he was traditionally used, which is running behind a ton of boys to proc the extra attacks and act as a high quality countercharge, he's generally less durable into most things, which is frustrating considering he's gone up in points for the privilege.
Yeah, that's fair.
Which is why I think I had the issue, because it's like, well, you've made him worse for his traditional role and made him more expensive for that. So it's like you've said, oh, we're making him worse, but we think we've made him better, therefore we're going to increase his points cost. And I think I was looking at this from a weird approach.
Yeah, can I say something?
No, of course, you're fine, absolutely.
Because me and Nick, so I played a game today with my orcs, and you know that I've been list writing orcs since 8th edition landed, right?
I mean, you wrote my list for the GT that I should have won.
Yeah. Okay. So the book, and a really good example was when I was at Capital City Bloodbath last year. And I saw, and I forget his name now, but he's a treasure. He took a whole bunch of Meganobs, yeah?
Yeah.
And I was like, that is not a good unit. It's a very expensive unit, but it's like, yeah, but it fills a role inside the Orc army. Because the Orc army, as a book, isn't particularly well internally balanced. There's a lot of units, but 60 to 80% of them are pretty crap, really. Like, they don't do great stuff. This is what I'm trying to get at is it's like the planes all kind of do something. Like, fair enough. And I think I definitely can see the Dakar plane being useful, and the burner bomb one when we get to a new stratagem is a thing. But I like the Wazbomb because of its mobility. What I like about the Wazbomb, and I've told you about this before, and we showcased it a bit today when we played the game, Nick, is the Orc book doesn't really have something that can go somewhere quite small, like a Smash Captain, yeah? Get into the opponent's inside the meat of an army, and then go pick out your Aramans, yeah, or your captain that's given all the rerolls. You know, the thing that you need to go kill. They don't really have that. Because characters are traditionally untargetable, right?
Yeah, they don't really have any snipers or any They've got. I think they might have 1 or 2 spells that do damage that can snipe a character, but
again, it's fairly
limited
range.
access to it. Yeah.
Like and then one of the other things is if you're up against the wrong matchup, and I mean specifically armor, so like 2-up armor or even 3-up armor, Orc boys are amazing. Like, I'll never stop being impressed by Orc boys, but they can't deal with intercessors. I really don't think, because intercessors are the hard counter. They shoot down the Orc boys, and then they're like, well, hit us with 57 billion attacks, and we'll probably make most of our 3-up armor saves. So what we've needed for a long time is like a hammer, a single model, or a couple of model hammer unit that you can put in deep strike and be like, I'm going to threaten something more than a big block of 30 boys. Like, I'll be able to punch through armor. I'll be able to take out a vehicle. Does that make sense?
So on that, I'm going to agree and disagree. So on the it's not very well internally balanced thing, I agree, but I don't think it's a problem, and here's why. I think there are actually, if you look at, let's say, a competitive Orc list from last year, right? if you look at that, there are a lot of units that are really good in that orc book that you don't see. So I'm talking commandos. I'm talking Death Killer Wartrikes are still really good. I'm talking Storm Boys. I was running Mega Knobs in that list. There are a lot of units from the Orc book which you could still viably include in a competitive army. The number of units in there that are really, really good it's quite deep, actually. The problem you have is, which is why I think you've got the correct read on this, is that there are also a lot of units that are really, really bad. But I think that's kind of the intention. You've got all of these units. Basically, you've got one truck and it's got 4 different profiles. So now you can run all these kinds of funky planes and vehicles and all that kind of fun stuff. So it appeals to both types of players. You have players who just want to run really cool vehicle things and players who want to run competitive stuff because there's a lot of depth for both players, right? So if you want to run something fun, loads of options. You want to run something competitive, loads of options again. With the picking out characters thing, I agree that it's a problem, but I think it's a problem, again, by design. I don't know if it necessarily fits with orcs that they're able to just like pick out things. I think orcs very much they're going to hit you very hard, and either they make it or they don't.
Yeah, but and this is what I'm trying to get at. Like, they don't like. So they're really good in combat, right? Orcs, they run at you and they beat you up. But the truth is, they do not do that at all, right? They have the unit that can fight orc boys, and you're done in combat. Right, the Mega Knobs are too expensive. They should be cheaper.
I don't know if I agree with that, mate. I can do a rundown on Mega Knobs next week, and we'll have a discussion about that one.
I'm in because I want to hear the fuck about it. That's great. But
Let's do it.
Yeah, and I'm super into that. But I think of orcs as combat, right? Like that's what I think of, and all the shooting is just superfluous. But they've got fucking a metric ton of random Daka units, which is cool, and like you say, they're great. But I feel like the orcs are like literally beating against a tin can. You know the meme where the guy's like holding the fence. And the orc boys are just outside, like, let me in! And they're just like hitting that fence with as many attacks as they can get.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I totally get you.
But Ghazghkull, he's going right through the fence.
Mm-hmm.
If he ever makes his charge, because it's still an 9-inch charge with nothing. So I think the issue, if anything there is that orcs are far more skewed towards shooting than they should be.
Yes.
Because orcs can deal with armor, they just shoot it.
They can, and they do.
With all the smasher guns that you alluded to earlier, and the
18
SAG,
only.
the Relic SAG, which I called crap when it released. It's actually insanely broken.
But isn't it a bit of a shame that, like, that's the only, the other shooting would be nice to be better?
Yeah.
Like the Burner Boys and the Tank Busters.
What? Yeah.
Looters.
It's like...
I didn't even mention Tank Busters. Looters suck, but that's beside the point.
Yeah, well, I just think... truthfully... I'd like combat to be a bit more powerful, and I see Ghazghkull as actually being a powerful punch unit in an army, which, so what I mean is, you were talking about his role changing. I'm happy that his role is no longer being. I like the idea that he's just a single monster who I'm going to put in a teleportarium, and I'm just going to be like, I'm going to make a 9-inch charge and beat the fuck out of you, probably, maybe.
So I think you're close to what I'm going to suggest here, but. Almost. So, if you're running obviously traditionally, I've already talked about that. So, how to use him post rework is what I'm gonna get onto here. So, running behind boys isn't great. He's now more expensive to provide a buff that was overpriced beforehand anyway. And in a world where a war banner exists and he has the potential to die, or at least be chipped earlier when he's hit, it doesn't really matter too much. So there is a stratagem that you can use to compensate for this. It's called the Medi Squig. And it's 1 CP if you're within range of a Pain Boy, and you regen D3 wounds. Now, I'm not a massive fan of this anyway, because a lot of the time you're going to be using CP on other things, especially with orcs, because they are a very CP-hungry faction, which is why you see things like the Triple Battalion, and occasionally brigades with the orcs, right? So my question was, so what's he actually got better at? And, well, running around by himself, which you already spoke about. So if you want to use him, you can either use him as a threat overload or a late game bully. Now I'm going to explain those two things. The threat overload one is probably the simpler one. So it's your deep strike turn 2 on the opposite side of where your boys are going to hit, because you're sticking him in Teleportarium for 2 command points. And then you don't necessarily need him to do that, though, because you can't jump anyway. So you can threaten, and then you're basically saying, well, all the elite killing guns are going to come at Ghazghkull, and all the horde killing guns are going to go at the boys. Would it be better to just do 2 units of boys deep striking and then have, I've made all your elite killing guns just worthless, well done. So the way that I'd recommend using him is you drop him in the Teleportarium again, and then you drop him down turn 3 almost every time. And the reason why you do that is because if you're going second, it's even better. You're limiting the number of turns that your opponent can kill Ghazghkull, because you can only do 4 wounds to him per phase. So now, of those 3 remaining turns, turn 4, 5, and 6, because most packs now limit your number of turns to 6 static, you only have 3 phases in each of those turns if you exclude the movement phase, which most armies don't do damage in movement phase anyway. You have 9 phases to do, and you have to do 4 wounds in each of them. Otherwise, Ghazghkull is going to be running around your backline, knocking you off objectives.
Well, yeah. But again, he fills a role, right? It's another reason that he's a bit of a problem compared to, like, say, a knight. A knight can do 2 jobs at once. He can stomp on something pretty nice, and he can do a whole bunch of shooting. And Ghazghkull really is there to punch a bunch of things.
Yeah. So if you're going to Ruz him, I reckon you stick him in Teleportarium. If you're going second, perfect. You've got 3 turns to soften your opponent army up. I mean, just drop Ghazghkull down when it's a little bit softened up and say, hey, you don't have enough turns to remove him now, and he's just going to terrorize you.
Yeah. Well, so I got a question for you. Tom, sorry, are we near towards the end of where you're at?
Pretty much. I'm just gonna talk about Warp Spider's example where you can kill him in a turn with Thousand Suns. Yeah, you can do that with Grey Knights as well. My point is that it's not every game. Whereas him sticking in behind a line of boys is never gonna be recouping his value.
Yeah, I also think
it's
like,
matchup thing.
I also think if you put 30 boys in the Teleportarium, they're good, but you also already have 30 boys on the board that you can jump to where they want to be applied. Does that make sense?
I mean, you could do both. You could do 2. You could stick Ghazghkull and 30 boys in the Teleportarium. Turn 3, you drop down, and you jump unit of boys. So you've got 60 boys.
What I more mean is like 30 boys. If like as your opponent, he's looking at those 30 boys as like they do a very specific job, and I can screen out against them, or they can hit this thing, but they're not going to kill that thing, or they're not going to. I want them to hit that thing. Let's say, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of with the Orcs, you just box your opponent in the corner and then taking all the points, right?
Yeah.
Whereas, of course,
I think Ghazghkull poses a really interesting point. Like you say, drop him down in turn 3 because you're constantly under pressure that there's going to be this monster who's going to land sometime soon, and I think that is the money for me. Like I think he'll see some play. And like you said, if you're able to also heal him as well, then I think
I like the idea of having the pain boy with him to give him the DPR and then also to heal him those D3 wounds.
Yeah,
you can do that, but I just think that a lot of the CP is generally used on other things anyway. I mean, you can do that if you want to. You could also just like to jump a pain boy behind him because Ghazghkull can screen for the pain boy because he's now over 10 wounds, right? So you just stick Ghazghkull in front of the pain boy, and then the pain boy can't be shot.
Sorry, just to clarify what I was saying for Mousebat, he says you can't screen him because he's a monster, so he can be targeted regardless of where he is. No, sorry, I don't mean screen against him. Don't screen
being
for
shot,
him to make him safe. Screen against him so he can't. If you're the enemy who he's trying to hit you, you're screening to stop him.
Yeah,
but
also no.
Go on.
Sorry, Karen. I was going to say, but now you're having to think about screening in turns 4 and 5. Which is really rare because most of the time, like when you watch Nikos play on stream, so I think we played a game a few months back where I just screened for like 3 turns, gave you a lead, you dropped down, I then bounced you off and then ran over all the points, right? Because I didn't have to think about screening turns 4, 5, and 6. Whereas I know that the turn after Ghazghkull drops, I'm probably not going to be able to kill him in 1 turn because I don't do 4 wounds in 3 phases.
Yeah.
So now I'm having to think about screening out for his later turns as well, which actually really throws a spanner in the works and also means that you have to be forward planning for those late game turns, not just for scoring points, but also for killing this ridiculous toughness 7 orc that's dropped in your face. Now, I'm not saying it's good.
I do like the security you have where if you like throwing Ghazghkull into something that is really, really killy, that you know for a certain, well, at least in your turn, that you throw him into like say 3 knights or whatever all at once, he can't be killed, or something that's like the possessed bomb. You could throw him into the possessed bomb, not die, and stop them charging something else or whatever.
Yeah. The best example, obviously, we've got this already inside the game design is Morathi from Age of Sigmar, and obviously I've travelled the world. Watching and commentating on a lot of competitive Age of Sigmar games as well as playing in them, and what Morathi's actual job most of the time to do is to tank the thing that can, like the unit that can kill anything. That's Marathi's job. Like in the one combat phase that unit of Hearthguard Berserkers or Daughters of Cain, Witch Elves could just delete a unit. You just put Marathi in, and you could just do the same with Ghazghkull. Problem is there aren't really many powerful combat blocks. There are some, but the matchup's quite dependent, I think. However, shooting, there are some armies where almost all of their output is only shooting. And in that world, he really begins to shine, right? Like limited psychers, and then just the only output that you're potentially going to do to him is in the shooting phase. He then doesn't live for 2 turns. He lives 3 or 4 turns, realistically. And then he's got some power. And Tom, in a team format, surely, like, he's a really interesting unit to include in an army. Oh, Tom, you've muted yourself, bro.
Oh, right, my button didn't unpress. Sorry, I said interesting with a capital int.
Oh,
I don't think he's a great pickup personally.
okay.
I think he's too expensive for what he does, especially when so if we're talking about things like worlds, so many of the boards which we looked at last episode, which you can go back and look at that selling. So we were talking about a lot of the boards which are heavy ruin based, right? As a monster, it means it's easier to play around Ghazghkull because you can just Benny Hill him around the ruins because he can't walk through them, right?
Yep.
So it's a little bit easy to deal with. Plus, when you're building a list in team format, you can build it a little bit more extreme and build it towards, well, this list is going to beat these specific things. Well, what does Ghazghkull specifically help you beat as orcs? Tau? Maybe. Necrons? Maybe.
I think Iron Hands.
Do I need to... Sorry?
I think Iron Hands.
I'm not sure I agree with Iron Hands, mate, because I feel like the Iron Hands can tank him, and he doesn't kill enough of them. So you end up doing 4 wounds to him in the shooting phase.
Yeah.
You then do 4 wounds to him on Overwatch, unless you take Blood Axes, which means that you could pick a unit and that unit can't Overwatch.
Yeah.
So that would be immediately 8 wounds, because remember, the charge phase and the fight phase are 2 different phases.
I don't think they're necessarily going to guarantee do 4 wounds on Overwatch.
No, but I think there's a good chance when you're hitting on 5s, with a lot of shots rolling to hit.
Yeah, again, it really does depend what he's hitting.
100%.
Yeah, and
either way, you still chip.
And he can't wrap. Yeah, okay, fair enough. But I think he's a good answer to potentially the Iron Hands build. Not massed Iron Hands like we're going to see in the future of infantry, but against the kind of like bunker, he can sit down. But you know, I agree. I don't think it's as survivable as it first seems on paper. I don't think he's as... I think he's better than he was because he has a unique role inside the Orc army. And that's actually something that the Orc army needs because it doesn't have a lot of units. It doesn't have a lot of roles. It doesn't really have snipers, anti-psychers. You know, it doesn't have like a lot. It's got a lot of models in the book.
Daka or chopping.
Yeah, it's Daka or chopping, and the chopping really is only the boys. Like unless there's mega knobs that I need to start looking at apparently. And then the Daka,
Well, we'll talk about it next week, mate.
Yeah, we will talk about it next week. So I think that's actually really interesting. However, like I say, I think it's good in the design space of inside his own book because he's now a new unit that you don't. There's not anything comparable in that book to him. I don't think. And I think it's something that's really quite necessary. That's been a good chat about him, though, more than I thought. How do you feel about him? This is my real question. How do you feel about him being inside a Start Collecting box? Well, not a Start Collecting box, but a special box.
Well, I hope he comes out separately, is my feelings.
Well, I'm sure he will.
Yeah.
But my point...
Rather than having to spend 105 quid just to get one model you want.
Yeah. No, but my point actually was... So, his comparison, Ragnar Blackmane... Yeah, is a Space Marine captain.
Yes.
Yeah, but that's
pretty much.
That's
he's a Wolf Lord. Yeah,
but that's his comparison, right? That's his equal inside that box. Does that mean we're saying Ghazghkull is at best a captain, and are we going to see bigger orc boys? Do you know what I mean? Like bigger
the Primorcs.
Huh?
Yeah,
the Primorcs.
Primorcs.
That's what I'm really asking. Because he's just...
Well, they kind of already got that with Knobs. Because they're 2 wound bigger orcs, aren't they?
Yeah, but no,
Yeah,
I'm
they're not
talking.
troops
I'm talking
choices.
bigger. I'm talking bigger than Gazgul.
Bigger than Gazgul.
That's what I'm saying. Does that make sense? He's just.
No, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure.
Maybe in the future, but not anytime soon. Because this is the Orcs' big release for the next couple of years, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I
That's all
That's
we're
it.
getting, boys.
That's
Wrap
it.
it up.
That's it.
yeah, that's what I want. Viking DX, knobbier knobs. Yeah, the most knobby knobs we can dream. Yeah, I
Knobs with
reckon.
knobbly knees.
Anyway, because surely, because there wasn't Abaddon wasn't included in some these Chaos guys versus Thingy box, was he?
No, well,
Gulliver
I
wasn't.
don't think the fact that this is a combined box is anything special apart from it's just we had loads of these models that we didn't sell. Let's bang them in a box because we know they sell more like that.
Wait, was Eldrad in a box? Phoenix Rising.
Yeah, he was, and then it got released separately later.
I guess so. Okay, Jimmy 1080. Rob, you got me excited, brother. I'm excited too. Orcs are the best. That's just the answer. And as the Nathan Prescott of 40k, I couldn't love him more. All right, so Gazgul, Twitch chat, Nick, final rating. How do you feel about him, rules wise, like the whole thing? What do you
I
reckon?
think he's the best.
Nice.
He is the best.
I also think he's the best. Tom.
I mean, the internet agrees with you. The number of people I saw as soon as the Gazgul rules got released was like, "Oh, he's so fucking broken! Oh, he's fucking brilliant!" And I'm just like sat there like, "Oh, humanity's gone, mate."
I think all of your points were super valid, and I agree with you. I don't think he's great, but I'd be dropping a Wazbomb Blaster Jet to put him in my list. Which,
Oh, mate, there is a new stratagem though that allows you to auto blow up a flyer. Apparently.
yeah, that's a good one. And on a burner
that's
bomber
cool,
is
yeah.
and a burner
Yeah,
bomber is decent.
exactly. Yeah, I saw that combo. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's very cool.
So yeah, I go for a 6 because I like the model, I like the lore. I still think there's something you can do with him, which is kind of funny, but I'm not. You know what I mean?
You're not too bothered.
No.
So some of the other rules that came out for Orcs, have you got the other rules? Because I've got some of them.
No, I haven't. I've only got those 2 data sheets, and I've got Ragnar as well.
Okay. So you've got Specialist Mobs is another cool Orc rule that's come out. This is Pyromaniacs, Arsonists. You can reroll any... Sometimes Orcs are off constraints of their clan and instead group together with other like-minded greenskins. Saga the Beast lets you do this, giving you a totally new way of building fun and flavorful Orc army. You can get a benefit from a unique subculture related to a specialist mob that you choose. If you like burning stuff, choose the Pyromaniac special mob. So if you do that, you get a special rule, Arsonists, and if you do, you can re-roll any and all of the dice when determining the number of shots made for burners, scorchers, burner bottles, burner exhaust, killer jets, and scorcher missiles equipped on models in a unit with this subculture. When resolving an attack made with a melee profile of a burner equipped on a model with a subculture, you re-roll the wound roll. When reserving the burner bombs ability for a unit with this subculture, add 1 to each roll. So huge boosts to all of the flamers inside that book there.
Yeah, I quite like that because when I was building my Orc army, I was all in on the burners, but they were just a bit rubbish in Chinorks. So this sounds like you might be able to make them at least a little bit better. So I quite like the idea of having like Chinorks with burner boys in, and then 3 burner bombers with them as well, flying around burning stuff.
Yeah, but I like the
Pretty
idea
fun.
of just building I like more themey is better.
Yeah.
The smartest thing that they can ever do is put rules inside narrative. Because as soon as you do that, we're laughing. Not whatever they did to Space Marines. That's the opposite of what they did.
Or Necrons.
Yeah. Sad face. Anyway, some other special rules that they said. Orc mechs never stop messing with their creations, and Games Workshop never stop trying to sell us scenery pieces. They're always tinkering and experimenting, but when it works, the results can be spectacular. Saga the Beast lets you take one of these custom jobs for free if you have a Mech Boy workshop in your army, Nick.
It begins.
It begins.
It begins.
Need your Killer Cans, Death Dreads, and Morkanauts or Gorkanauts to get into combat faster? Answer, no. However, get them booked in to be fitted with Orc-matic pistons. If you do that, Killer Cans, Death Dreads, Morkanaut or Gorkanaut unit only, so any of those, you can add 3 inches to the unit's move characteristic. You can re-roll advanced rolls made for this unit as well.
Ooh.
Move 3 inches, plus 3 inches to Killer Cans.
Wow.
So they will move 3 inches faster into your shelf where you keep the
Wow.
models you're not playing with at the minute. Tom, how's the painting coming on your Big Mech workshop?
Great, mate. I just need to glue some more crystals to it and we'll be rolling.
Nick, your Big Mech Workshop?
I don't know one.
Why not?
Never gonna buy it.
It synergizes really well with a stomper.
Never ever.
Please, someone clip that.
If the scenery is free, I will never pay money for it.
The scenery, what is points wise free?
If it points wise is free, but there's a rule that I benefit from it, I'm never. As just a rule of thumb, I will never pay money for it.
That's fair.
Because that's giving up. That's giving in.
Giving in. Mousepart says, I'll be honest, it sounds very exciting to me. I wanted to do a Mecha Raw. What's nice about it is if you did buy it, listen, I don't like the company as much as anyone. I also love the company because they make this wonderful game that I like. So I'm in this torn position like you are. You know,
This yin yang.
this yin yang of the game.
Love and
the
hate.
Yeah, exactly. But it's a cool scenery piece. You could buy it and always use it. Isn't it?
Is it?
Isn't it? What does everyone know? I think it looks nice. Tom?
What do you mean, mate? Sorry, I just
Well,
took my headphones out because I went to go get my
The Met
kids.
Workshop.
If it's a cool scenery
at what I've
piece,
got here,
just
mate.
have it as scenery on the table.
Look at this,
What
mate.
have you got? Oh, is it a Gorkanaut or Morkanaut?
Don't talk to me or my kids ever again. No, they're stompers.
Oh, 2 stompers.
I need a third one so I can fit it in my.
Look,
Oh,
Nick,
wait a
it
minute.
looks- Nick, that's not bad. Look at that. You've got a bit of scenery there.
look
There's
at
some
it there.
tyres. I don't think it's terrible, personally.
Yeah, it's like quite cool and lots of cool bits and
Yeah.
detailed, but
Anyway.
we'll just
I'm
have
gonna
it.
get those stompers painted over the lockdown. That's my aim.
Please go to an actual tournament.
And I'm gonna use them. I'll use them at a
I
tournament.
want them
mate.
to.
I'll use
yeah,
them at a
a
tournament.
2-day, 5-game.
No, the,
With 2
Two
stompers.
stompers.
go to a super major.
And I'll go 3 and 2. I'll go positive win rate with 2 stompers. I promise you.
That'd trigger me so much if you did that. All right, next up, stratagems. Stratagems. Orcs don't usually bother with things like talks of strategy. They leave blah, blah, blah. Anyway, there's a new stratagem, the Clever Spanner. Looters or Burner Boys unit from your army that contain 9 or less models for 1 CP, or 1 Looters or Burner Boys unit for your army that contains 10 models or more for 2 CP. Whilst that unit contains 1 or more spanners, you can roll 1 additional dice and discard 1 when determining the number of shots for burners or def guns equipped on models in that unit. Each unit can only be selected for this stratagem once per battle, and obviously that doubles up really well with the
rerolls.
with the rerolls that we saw previously before.
Pretty much guarantees in commas that you get the 3.
It does mean you get the max pretty much, so that's decent. But 2 CP to do that, like Tom said, it's a fairly CP heavy army. But looters get.
So you need something that's really good. Yeah, I mean, you don't really want to be pouring too many more CP into looters anyway, because you're already trying to double fire, and then you've got Mordaka as well, but often obviously gets used too. So you don't really want to be just pouring CP down the drain. It has to be something for a really worthwhile cause over here.
Yeah, but firing twice, knowing that you're not guaranteed, but that you're in a strong position to be getting that max 3. Like, it's less risky, right? And therefore that shooting twice is even better.
Yeah, exactly. Well, even then, though, like, it isn't... It's a D3 every time you fire and not a D3 for the entire phase. Now, they have changed it. So it's not quite as impactful, but it's still pretty impactful.
Yeah, okay. And then next one, 1 CP, Fly and Headbutt. Use this strategy at the end of your movement phase. Set 1 Orc unit from your army that has the Flyer battlefield roll. That model is reduced to 0 wounds. So it's not even automatically explode. It's... You just fly it over.
I think it is automatically exploded,
No,
isn't
yeah,
it?
it does automatically explode. What I'm saying is it doesn't need to... It's not your opponent shoots it and then...
Yeah. So you advance it straight in and then you just boom it.
Yeah.
Really, it's just a self-destruct thing.
It's just a self-destruct and
Yeah.
it auto-explodes.
Literal kamikaze Orc.
That's pretty badass.
That's amazing.
All right,
Everyone
yeah.
buy 1 burner bomber. Like, so it'll just be in your list now, because why wouldn't it be? Just fly it over, 1 CP, and then just blow it up.
Can I tell you a,
Imagine if you had an orbital bombardment as well.
can I tell you a
and stack
sneaky
it.
thing I did with my Orc planes?
Please do.
So my Orc planes that I scratch built, there's basically three metal sheets underneath the plane where the guns go. So what I did was I just made magnetic guns that stick to it, so I can just change the guns to change the plane.
Nice.
So my super shooters can now become burners to make
That's
burner
cool.
planes.
Well, I mean, you could have 3 burner planes now, and you could literally, one every turn, launch it over,
Yeah.
do your bombing run, which happens in your movement phase, not at the end of your movement phase. So that's already some more mortal wounds you can do, and then just blow the thing up.
Yeah.
Which is great. So maybe Gazgul's got less of a role now because he's going to be literally flying planes at people.
Yeah.
Maybe you could model him throwing the plane like a model aeroplane and just nuking stuff. So yeah, that's everything.
Wait a minute, hold up, no, mate. Have orcs got any planes? Holy mate, can you put Gazgul in a chin orc?
No, because it's got to be infantry.
You can put him in you can't put him in a battle wagon either, can you?
Right,
Not
here's
now,
what I was
he's a
gonna
monster.
suggest. You fly your plane into the middle of the enemy army.
Yep.
You make it blow up. All your guys then pile out, and then they charge.
There's
Use the strategy at the end of your movement phase, so that one orc unit from your army has the flyer battlefield.
flyer. There's no flyer that can transport troops.
Yeah.
Sadly.
Is it not got a flyer?
No.
No, it's a dedicated transport.
Oh man, that sucks. Never mind.
But
That could have been.
that would have been cool though.
It's literally just delivering your orcs into the combat by just crashing your own plane into the enemy army.
This is fucking bonkers. Chinork's not a flyer. Oh man, I know. I'm so sorry. Okay, so honestly, I'm super hype about this. One of the things I'm also going to do between now and next weekend, I'm hoping, between next week on the 40k show, is I'm going to read all of the Psychic Awakening books narrative.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Are we gonna have a narrative showdown?
I just want to read them, man. I just want to get involved.
Yeah.
Like,
Fair.
I haven't caught up on all of them. So
Yeah, because I at the minute don't understand why it's called Psychic Awakening.
Yeah, and we should know
There
that.
was
Let's find out for next week. Meet up, chat about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, same time, same place,
Let's-
same back channel.
Yeah.
Fucking, I'm in.
I'll be there.
Sounds good. And then a Magnob's run down. Perfect.
That's a great day. All right, but before that, there's still Space Wolves to talk about.
There is.
Tom,
Ragnar.
Yeah. There's Ragnar.
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 this is for you now.
So you say it's for me. So Ragnar is a bit of a beefy boy, and we were talking a bit earlier about the role of a close combat specialist, right, in the game. So everything I'm about to say is entirely within the context of he is a close combat specialist. We've already acknowledged that those kinds of characters aren't necessarily amazing in the game. Because I don't want to just say, oh, he's really cool and he's really good at this, but unfortunately this is shit, so you won't see him. Even though that's the TLDR of what I'm about to say.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I kind of want to be positive about him because I think he is cool and I like his rules, but I just don't think you'll see him competitively because I just don't think he has a role, because I don't think he does the job that's actually useful.
I already agree.
So Ragnar Blackmane, he has 6-inch move, weapon skill, ballistic skill 2, strength toughness 4, 6 wounds, so he's gone up by 1 wound. 7 attack space, so he's gone up by 2 attack space. Leadership 9, free up save. So he's a marine with lots of wounds. He hits things right good, and he's got lots of attacks. Sound.
Good.
There we are.
Very Space
His rules.
Wolfy.
Very Space Wolf. He's a character, Primaris, Wolflord. Cool. So he's Angels of Death, which means he gets all the rules that would normally affect an Angel of Death. He's also got the rule Battle Lust, which means that when a friendly Space Wolves unit within 6 inches of this model and not within 3 inches of an enemy unit consolidates, it can move up to 6 inches rather than up to 3. So what means when a Space Wolf unit blasts something, if it can't then tag anything, it can just go 6 inches, which is actually really cool. Quite like that. Second thing he has is Warhowl. So that means he can reroll charges made for friendly Space Wolf units other than vehicles if they're within 6 inches of this model when the roll is made. That doesn't affect Wolfen, because Wolfen already have that. So that's going to be affecting things like Grey Hunters, Thunderwolf Cavalry, things like this. And himself, obviously, as well, which is kind of cool. The third rule is called Jarl of Fenris, and that is reroll 1s to hit with Space Wolves. He's a captain. There you are. He has Berserker Rage. Now, this is the cool bit. And that means when he is affected by a shock assault, which means he's just charged, or has been charged, or is heroically intervening, he gets +3 attacks instead of +1, which means in the first round of combat, he will have 10 attacks, which is pretty cool. Yeah. He also has the Belt of Rust, which means he has a 4+ invulnerable save as well. Not that it really matters too much, because he's just going to be hitting stuff. And he hits stuff at strength 6, AP -4, damage 2, which means he eats Primaris Marines unless they're Iron Hands because they have a DPR.
Yeah, and maybe... No, because Chaos Marines only have 1 wound, right? So
They do.
Possessed
yes.
of 2, though.
Yeah. Currently, until Fabius Bile comes out.
Oh yeah.
you know, I know it's going to sound really silly, but maybe this is coming from having played lots of the Horus Heresy game. What was really cool about when you played the Horus Heresy game is it was quite clear what weapons were designed to take out what units, like, you know, multiple damage one things with high AP clearly were designed for going and taking out Marines. And in a game that was primarily Marines versus Marines, it was often, you know, it was fun having him in there. Sometimes you ask yourself, like, so a Space Wolf character, you know, what is he hitting narratively that's got that 2 damage that he's looking to take out? And saying other Primaris makes sense, but also makes absolutely no
narrative
sense.
Yeah.
That's where his stat profile is. And I know the game isn't really like built around that per se, but I'm just going to it and I'm like, why is he doing 2 damage? Like, you know, what's he? Because he's a Space Wolf, right? Aren't they like hunting monsters a little bit? Like they're fighting chaos. Like that's what I see them doing. Anyway, sorry, Tom, to derail that.
No, it's fine. Back to all his rules. It's not amazingly exciting. Will he kill Ghazghkull in close combat? No, he will not kill Ghazghkull in combat. And that's mainly because if he takes 2 wounds from Ghazghkull, he's dead because Ghazghkull does 4 wounds. But also because he can only do a maximum of 4 wounds to Ghazghkull in the fight phase anyway. I'm not entirely sure about the box set as a whole. I think it's a cool box set, but I don't know why these 2 are suddenly mortal enemies all of a sudden. I think I mentioned that on the last show.
What, Space Wolves versus Orcs?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't know either.
No,
They don't need...
I know Space Wolves were on Armageddon. But that's about it.
Okay, yeah. Well, we'll find out next week because we'll have read the story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it's on pre-order.
You'll have read the story. I'm not going to read any of it.
Same.
Wow, how rude. Okay, I'll have read it. How rude. And I'll also check on the internet to see how Games Workshop have destroyed the narrative as per usual. And then also read the other version where they haven't. And then I'll give you both sides of that argument.
Cool.
Okay.
And then we can come back onto it, which is I'm into.
Fair.
All right, yeah. There's some other stuff. There's combat doctrines for Space Wolves. Savage Fury, whilst the assault doctrine is active, if an unmodified hit roll of a 6 is made for attack with a melee weapon on a unit with this ability, the attack scores 1 additional hit on the target. So they have exploding 6s. Is one of their combat doctrines. They've got some stratagems. 0 CP.
To get a CP when you kill a
Use the
character.
stratagem in the fight phase. When an enemy character is destroyed by an attack made with a Space Wolf model in your army, you receive 1 command point. Kind of cool, but
Yay.
also fairly...
Is that the only? Is there any other 0 CP stratagems?
No,
No, that's a first CP, 0 CP.
Oh, interesting.
I quite like that because it's like a quest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of similar to the Assassin one, where you spend 1 CP, when you kill a character, you get 2 CP.
Yeah.
So it's the same, just different.
Yeah.
Pure Reba asks, so will Space Wolves get another 1-day FAQ for doctrines? Can't wait to find out. And then Took to the Wild, Space Wolf stratagem. Use this stratagem in the fight phase. Select 1 Space Wolves character in your model in your army to the end of that phase. Will resolve an attack made by that model. An unmodified hit roll of 4+ scores 1 additional hit. So you could have there are 10 attacks, also exploding attacks on 4s. Yeah. Into 1 more additional hit. So statistically, those 10 attacks could become 15 wound
20
rolls.
attacks.
Or 15 wound rolls, yeah.
Yeah.
More on average.
Yeah.
Which now he's potentially doing 30 damage.
Mate, it's 50-50. Either you get 20 wounds or you don't.
Yeah, I agree.
True, man.
There's also some litanies, and the Tale of the Wolf King and the Lord of the Deeps. If this litany is inspiring, select 1 friendly Space Wolves unit within 6 instances model. When resolving an attack made by a melee weapon by a model in that unit against a monster or a vehicle, add 1 to the damage characteristic of that weapon as well. So if you put the
That's not
put
bad.
the litany on this guy, yeah, he's now doing 60 damage to what's his name? Ragnar Blackmane is doing 60 damage to Ghazghkull
Anything you
Thraka.
want. Well, apart from his Ghazghkull Thraka, and he only takes 4 damage. So he's really good at killing
so how's
anything
this work?
apart
So he's
from his
got-
arch nemesis.
So we've got 10 attacks that hit on 2s, and all of them are 6s, so that's 20.
Well, all 4 pluses because he's a character.
Or 4 pluses.
Yeah,
So that's 20 hits.
20 hits,
And
and they'll
was-
be doing damage. And if it's a monster or a vehicle he's hitting, you add +1 to the damage, so it's going to be 3 damage a piece.
Nice.
So he could do the 60 damage is your is your saga, your personal quest.
If you ever get that, right in,
Yeah, please do.
fellas.
And there's a special art relic, and there's also a talisman, rune priest only. After resolving the first psychic power for the bearer in your psychic phase, roll a d6 for each enemy unit within 12 inches of the bearer. On a 4+, that unit suffers 1 mortal wound. Why they write rules like that, who knows? Because I was bored reading it, but I'm glad that it's there. Yeah.
Meanwhile, you have to go and read all the lore. Cool. I was bored reading that, but I'll go read that. Okay.
Well,
so.
I'm just too good at the game, so I don't need to rush.
True. Yeah, you've got nothing else to learn.
I've got 100%
Yeah.
win record 2020. I just want to know that.
Yeah, true.
All right, so more on that next week. I'm looking forward to it. You guys looking forward to it?
In fact, so do I actually.
Yeah.
We should play.
Done. Deal. You're about to lose. Right.
True.
So, this is the sound
Of decks.
of cards. Yeah.
Dicks. Dicks on the
Yeah, this
table.
is I've got my dick in my hand.
I'm just gonna slap my
Whacking
dick on the
his
microphone.
table.
Oh,
There it
he's,
is.
oh, he's just slipped his dick on the microphone. Right, we're going to do this entire section in our South African accents. Tom, Leighton,
yeah.
have you got South African?
No.
You can't speak it.
Go on, Tom. You can't speak like this, like David.
Oh, it's real easy.
No, I'm not even going to try
Well,
it.
you just be like,
Oh,
have you
just
seen
just
District...
watch Cheppy.
Yeah, or District 13. You just be like,
I
District 9.
watched what's that Matt Damon film where he's a rugby player?
Oh, it's like that. Yeah, no.
Invictus.
Yes.
Yeah, no, it's terrible.
Oh, listen.
Nah.
Right,
Oh,
so...
it's easy.
It's so easy. So the thing you need to learn right here is...
This is going to get annoying within 5 minutes.
Oh, this isn't annoying at all. I'm sure it's fun.
You French. You said fucking
This
French,
is
my
not
friend.
annoying at all.
Just, anyway, so when you're playing Worlds 40k, Tom, tell us about Dix.
You'd score
What's-
points by scoring cards from your decks.
No, how do I make a dick?
Oh, right. You can have up to 18 cards in your dick.
Where do I get the cards? Go further back. You're
From
being...
the Games Workshop Tactical Objectives box, which I don't have because I've leached all of them because I keep forgetting them at events. And out of those 36 cards, and then 6 more that we're not going to talk about because it's not as exciting, you can make a deck
Yes.
of 18 cards to score points from.
Yeah, so
You cannot have this. You cannot have multiples of the same named card in your deck, and that's about it. Go wild.
So as we talked about last week, when you're playing 40k and you play Eternal War, the Worlds format is you also play Maelstrom. But what's cool is you can design your own dick.
Mm-hmm.
And me and Nikos went through this process today. We compared our dicks to each other.
Yep.
And
You got them out, and you just showed each other.
we showed each other our
We
dicks.
weren't shy about it.
We weren't shy. It's a
Tell
manly
me.
thing. It's a anyway. So,
It just shows we're secretly confident in our dicks.
yes, we're so confident. We're so confident right now around here. Anyway, so inside the deck, if you take out the your heart, like the whatever your faction specific tactical objectives are, you're left
Yeah.
with a couple of categories. So you're left with take and hold category. You're left with purge. You're left with seize ground. You're left with annihilation, and you're left with storm and defend.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
No.
And so from these, and not including the extra ones that the worlds have created that you can add into this dick if you want.
Your custom. Yes.
Yeah, your custom dick. What you can do is you design.
Custom.
You design your deck based on the army you're going to play. It goes in with your army list, and then you try
Just
to.
go in. Yeah.
Yeah, and then your dick goes in with your list to the opponent's hands. Anyway, and then you have to try and achieve all 18 of them at the end of the 6-round game. If
Yes.
you don't achieve enough, you start losing points. It doesn't matter about the metric, Tom, but if you don't
Yeah.
achieve all of them, eventually you start losing points on your total victory, and you could potentially lose the game.
Mm-hmm.
And they're also
Well, depend. Yeah, you'd lose valuable points for your team. Yeah.
And you also wouldn't be scoring points, so you more than likely will have lost the match. So,
Spooky.
spooky.
Yeah.
Okay,
spooky.
so Tom,
Yeah.
before we kick off with anything, like, how do you feel about it, having done it?
I love it. I think it's great fun.
Yeah? Why so?
It means it has to really keep on top of it. I don't know. I just enjoy it. I don't have a particular I just like how it keeps the game flowing and how it's always important. I mean, it's not just always a case of just like, well, we're playing the same game every single time and I have to forward plan. It's a case of, well, I need to execute my game plan against certain different armies and I need to understand exactly how I'm going to pressure the board. So, I don't know. I enjoy it. It's cool.
So, Nick, it was your first experience building a Dig today.
It was, yes.
It was his first experience with his Dig.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, how did you find it?
It was I've played Maelstrom before at a tournament, but it was old Maelstrom where you have the whole deck. I didn't like it then because it was just straight random. Like, I draw this card, set an objective 2. It's right next to me. Oh, I've scored a point. It didn't feel like you earned those points. Whereas with this refined system where you have a deck of 18. I like that you can custom build that to how your army plays. So there is still randomness, but it's more controlled randomness. So I do like that. So like you said earlier, there's different categories, and you can, because like today was the first time I've ever used it. So I just so today all I did was I picked the 6 secure objective ones because I thought they're the most basic one, I feel like.
So same. So in the WTC format, there are 6 objectives always on the board, and the 6 cards that Nick's talking about is you'll score a victory point if you control any one of those numbered 6 cards. I also put all 6 of those in my hand.
Yes,
I do the same as well.
Because I thought, there's always going to be objects on the table. There's just quite neat, and also, I presume most maps. There's going to be you've got a good chance of having half of them on your side, half of them on the other opponent's side. So
hang on, yeah.
So half of them you're going to be close to you straight away.
Auto achieving effectively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where I started as a base. I was like, right, those 6 are in definitely. Maybe I would consider. I didn't put any of the defend ones. The defend ones are where
I don't do that either.
You have to go get the objective and then hold it for a turn.
Yes.
Which can be pretty hard to do.
Your opponent can kick you off
exactly.
too.
Your opponent knows you're trying to do it. Do they know you're trying to do it?
Because you can hide one of your cards.
Okay, so they either know, unless you're using your one hide, that you're going to do it.
Yeah.
So I think they're quite difficult to do because you've got to stand there for a while.
Whereas I actually chose 2 defend cards.
Okay.
So I chose defends objective 5 and objective 6. Now, if you've been through all the battle plans with us last week, listened to the show last week, a lot of the missions, there are 6. Both players get to choose to deploy objectives 5 and 6. In some cases, they deploy all of them, 1 to 6, like we did today. We played mission 2. But because you get to choose to deploy 5 and 6, then that would mean that you have a lot of control over potentially putting either 5 or 6 in a deployment zone or somewhere favourable that you want to go. Does that make sense? So I thought, again, I didn't think lots of people would choose those. I thought there's a bit of manipulation involved in that element of knowing that in most of the missions that I'm going to get some control over that. And then, because they're worth 2 victory points, so if it was one that's just in my objective, then I'm just going to put that in my hand. And then if I'm ever going to my opponent's objective, it just seemed fairly achievable. So I put those in, but maybe not a very sensible tactic. And what happened with the deployment in our game today, they ended up on a different side of the board. So it didn't actually work out in my favour.
Yeah, I can't remember if you told me that beforehand.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
I told you that before, and then you chose the side.
I chose the deployment side where they were.
So I mean, that obviously.
But I mean, do you know what's in your opponent's deck anyway? So.
No, you don't.
Yes, you do. You have to mark it on your. Well, you have to mark it on your list.
Okay. Yeah.
So what? So that's a legitimate tactic you can do.
Yeah.
To deny your opponent access to those stratagems that might be in the deck.
But then potentially you could put like it in a favourable position for you. Depends on what army you play.
Yeah.
I obviously am playing orcs. I'm to jump in 30 boys, or I'm putting 30 boys into teleportarium. So I've got some desire to move across the board onto people's objectives. So giving myself either one I can sit on with my backline units, and then one I can go and take and potentially hold, feels like an okay thing to put inside my deck. But it might not have been a sensible decision, but I didn't mind it, and I think I'd try and put it again in my deck. Can I just say I loved the deck building part of this. It was fucking really fun. And it added an element that I like. Anyway, we'll get to the end. I loved it.
It's kind of like in ITC where they have your secondaries. People often design their armies to complete certain secondaries.
Yes.
This is kind of like secondaries. Like you kind of
Yeah.
you got to build your list to achieve the cards, but then also build the cards to match your list. So you've got to meet.
Yeah,
you've
but
got to
equally,
meet.
it's not like you can. Sorry, Nikos.
I was just saying you got to kind of meet in the middle somewhere, I guess.
Yeah, it's not quite this identical to secondaries because
No.
secondaries you pick knowing what your opponent's list is.
Yeah.
Whereas with
Yeah,
the decks, you are entirely building it based upon what you know is in your list and how your list functions.
Hmm.
So you have to build with your secondaries assuming certain matchups.
Yeah, and because the mission we were playing today, you were scoring progressive points. You were scoring points per round for holding an objective. Like, it very much seems like those make sense. And also, it added something, Tom, for me about 40k, which I haven't experienced yet playing 40k. Is
You enjoyed it.
well, number one, but no, but I also was going and getting like I was playing the objective game. I played a terrible turn 2, and like me and Nick were talking at one point because we were playing in the bar, and and I was just like, I've played a terrible fucking game, but it's because I'm so used to 40k just being like, I'm gonna go smash that fucking thing. Like that, I was actually playing a really poor objective-based gaming, but the cards were wicked. I loved it.
Did you use the terrain maps from Worlds as well?
No, we didn't. We didn't have those available. Well,
Mate,
we do have.
It makes it even better, dude.
Yeah, we didn't have those available, but we played with some terrain. It already felt like a way better game. But
Yeah.
I digress. What's next, Dick?
So the secure to take and hold ones were my first 6, and then because I was playing like an aggressive combat army, I think I chose. So I had like Comberserkers, like Demon Princes, Chaos Space Marines that are going to throw forward. I kind of chose some of the Seize Ground ones. So like there's an advance, so you score a point if you're in your opponent's objective deployment zone and things like that, and behind enemy lines. Supremacy. So there's one where you steal an objective from someone. So I kind of picked objective cards that meant I'm going to go at someone. So I'm going to go and run at someone because I'm a combat army. So I picked those ones.
So, quick question, Nikos.
Yes.
With that in mind, did you go domination?
I don't think I did. No.
No. So domination, for those that don't know, because you don't play Maelstrom, is you get a huge number of points if you control every objective on the board. Which can really swing matchups, but it's incredibly hard to get. And obviously, with
Yeah.
it being stuck in your deck, it's kind of like, it's tricky.
Was this Purge you're on?
Seize Ground ones.
Seize Ground. Okay, so in Seize Ground, the list of cards that we have are Domination, which is, as Tom's just talked about, scored D3 plus 3 victory points, so that would be 2.
So that's flat 5.
Yeah, flat 5. If you control every objective marker on the battlefield at the end of the turn, that's huge, especially when you're trying to achieve the ball, right?
That's worth 3 tournament points, by the way. So it's free to you, free off your opponent, so a total of 6 swing in a round.
Yeah.
Just for one card. It's bonkers.
Don't, because what you're doing is you're talking about aggregates there, which people aren't really getting. Just talk about the individual game at the moment, because that'll.
Right, fine. It's worth a lot of points.
I understand, but I had to go through the maths then. I was like, what?
Oh no, I get you. It's
Yeah.
just, I'm just quantifying it for teams that it's very important. If you actually manage to score that one card, you can swing an entire round.
But doesn't your army have to be designed around potentially being able to achieve that, right? And some armies that can't.
Yes, but also it's so hard to achieve. But it's one of those where you have to be able to achieve it. You have to draw it at the right time, and you need the stars to align for you.
Yeah. So
it's a very risky card to put in.
I wouldn't put it in.
Yeah.
I didn't put it in. Oh, well, I didn't. Next one's Advance.
No.
Score 1 victory point if no unit from your army is within your deployment zone at the end of your turn. I was never going to achieve that because I had 18
not with
mech
your
guns.
army, no.
I think I put this in, and I might have been able to achieve it if it was against someone else. I couldn't achieve this one because I had to leave units around the back so you wouldn't jump behind me and stuff like that. So maybe if you're playing against like a Tau Gunline or whatever, then maybe that would have been useful. But in this particular matchup, it wasn't.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because of my army composition, I'll never take that, which I think is quite interesting.
Yeah.
And I wonder if a lot of armies won't generally take that because being completely out of your own deployment is a big ask for a lot of these armies, I think.
Yeah, I don't take that either.
Yeah. So next one's behind enemy lines. Just to clarify very quickly, I was playing with 18 smasher guns, 90 Orc Boys, and 3 planes. So I had a very strong backfield and like a lot of units go forward. Nick had just to highlight quick. You had
20 Alpha Legion Berserkers, Captain Champion, 30 Cultists, 20 Marines with Bolters, 20 Marines with Bolters, 20 Marines with Chainswords, 2 Demon Princes, and 3 Psychers.
Yes. Yeah, so lots of stuff, but it was all going forward basically, or it could do.
Yeah. Go forward and then Psycho Stick behind. Pew pew with mine bullets.
Right, so the next one is behind enemy lines. Score 1 victory point if you have at least one unit completely within the enemy's deployment zone at the end of your turn. If you have at least 3 units within your opponent's deployment zone at the end of your turn, score D3 victory points. Now, I didn't put this in, but I should have put this in my list.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. With the jumping boys and teleporter.
Or even Gretchen if you need a small unit to sneak in.
Yeah, that's good. So I think I did get that one with Chaos Lord on jump pack.
You did?
Yes.
Yeah. And then next one was hold the line. Score 1 victory point if you have at least 3 units completely within your deployment zone and your opponent has no models within your deployment zone at the end of your turn. This objective cannot be achieved on your first turn. That's a humdinger for my army and went straight into my deck. Yeah, that was just brilliant. And I loved that. That was super easy. But it's quite interesting looking at the difference between hold the line and advance. Canhammer TV. If that's
Darren,
what a gorgeous man. Love that guy.
We're talking world's
He's
missions.
also a doctor, and big love to all of our medical professionals in the world. For the doctor's sakes, stay home, wash your hands, unless you're made to work.
And stay hydrated.
Always.
Yes.
So hold the line. I put that in my list. Did you put that in yours?
I think I did, yes.
Tom, do you put that in?
Hold the line. Yes, I do, because Grey Knights tend to kill everything within 24 inches.
Good.
do that.
Right, next one. Mission critical objective. When this tactical objective is generated, you roll a d6 and you score 1 victory point if you control the corresponding objective marker. If the corresponding objective marker was controlled by your opponent at the start of your turn and you control it at the end of your turn, score d3. Now, I didn't put that in my list because it was too random.
Yeah.
Nick,
that's one of the ones where it's kind of close for me. Sorry, Nick, I've just straight butted across you there.
I was just agreeing that it's random.
What do you think, Tom?
So I take it because it's one of those where it's not like random in that, I draw a card and then I've got to be able to hold it and then my opponent has a chance to do something about it. It's one of those where it's random, but at least you can control it. It's in terms of, well, if I just stand there for one turn, I can give up a unit and take the point and then rotate the objectives. But it's one of those that's on the cusp for me, so I don't always go for it. Do you know what I mean? Because it's just, I don't know, man.
I think it feels like it's one of those cards where, because basically it's a secure objective card, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
you've also got a chance of scoring those 2 points.
That's a good way of looking at it.
Norwich, dude, it's like Norwich in the Premier League. It probably shouldn't be there, but there's no other better team, so it's just there.
Fair enough. That's a good way of looking at it, Nick. I hadn't thought about it like that. I'm randomly drawing cards to try and score a random objective anyway. So what's the difference between drawing this card and then rolling a random number on it? That's actually a really good point.
I'm putting it in my list.
Yeah, I'm putting it in my list.
It's in my
Mission
dick.
critical objective is moving into my dick. That's a really nice card.
There you go.
And last one, supremacy. Score D3 victory points if you control any 3 objectives marked at the end of your turn. Now, I did put that into my dick.
Yeah, that's mandatory. Yeah.
That's just really, really good. So I put that already into my dick.
In my dick.
It's in my dick. Right. So those are all of the Seize Ground cards. Now, the next one is Purge.
Purge.
The next subject. Okay. So you've got Master of the Warp, which is score 1 victory point if you manifested or denied a psychic power during this turn. If you manifested or denied 3 or more psychic powers, score D3 points. That went straight in my deck, or my dick, because I had 2 weird knobs. That's right. My dick had 2 weird knobs in. No, my list had 2 weird knobs in for my dick. And so I mastered the Warp. So that went straight in, because I was like...
Yeah.
I didn't put that in, but I should have done, because I had 3,000 Sun Psychers. So...
One of whom's Araban.
Yeah. If you got any Psychers, that's like the easiest card in the game. Legit.
Yeah, that one's really good.
Or even if you're Dark Angels, because you can just deny a power for free and just say, lol. Well,
yeah.
There we are. Get lost.
Jimmy 1080 says, I have an aversion to D3 victory point cards. Only once have I rolled 3. Every time I rolled 1. Tom, to answer that?
Well, Jimmy.
It's okay, because these ones are all flattened out, so it's all the average.
Yes.
Automatically.
So under the pack that we're talking about, so under WTC rules or World's rules, all D3s are all average numbers. So, fantastic.
Boom.
Next up, overwhelming firepower. Score 1 victory point if an enemy unit was destroyed during the shooting phase of your turn. If 3 or more enemy units were destroyed during the shooting phase of your turn, score D3 victory points instead. I put that straight in my dick.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, that's
I
in
did
two
not
for me.
put that in my dick.
you did not.
No.
Because you had very little shooting.
Mostly combat.
Yeah,
for
your
my
army.
army.
Whereas a vast portion of mine was shooting, so I put that in. And then
Despite being orcs.
and then blood and guts. But what's nice about that is and if you mix that with a blood and guts, which is score a victory point if you kill an enemy unit, but if you kill 3, you score D3 victory points. So that'd be 2. What I really liked about that is if you do have a mixed arms army for just playing the game and destroying units like you're planning on doing anyway, like my orc army plans to do. I'm not always going to achieve it, but I plan to do it. Then that's a bonus point for or 2 bonus victory points per one for just turning up and playing like I want to play.
Yeah.
If you do them that anyway, then it's perfect.
Pokey John, link for this pack to the rules. So if actually you just go onto the worldteamchampionships.com, I'll go find it for you.
Yeah, just Google World Team Championships 40k.
Yeah.
And that'll either take you to the Facebook
Or search
page.
it on Facebook and give it a like
Yeah.
because it's easy to find.
Yeah, so that Google search will either take you to the Facebook page or the website. And the Facebook page will take you to the website anyway.
Yeah. But I'll put it in the chat in a minute. Right, next up, no prisoners. Score 1 victory point if an enemy unit was destroyed during your turn. If between 3 and 5 enemy units were destroyed during your turn, score D3. I achieved that earlier, by the way. And if 6, I killed 5. I was so upset by that. If 6 or more units were destroyed during your
Load
turn,
of points.
yeah, D3 plus 3, so a flat 5 you'll get, which is fantastic. No prisoners.
So do you reckon if you had that, say you had that in your hand or in play, it's kind of one of those ones where you could maybe sacrifice some kills, like maybe whittle units down on purpose to a few models left, so then next turn you can do the no prisoners thing. And
The
score all
problem is,
6.
I believe if you actually achieve it, you have to score it. But what you can do is you can just hold it in your hand, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Because if it's in your hand, you don't score it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was fantastic. I'd so be up for scoring. I'd put that in my dick straight away. No prisoners. I thought that was a really good one personally.
Yeah, it is really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
It's an easy one,
in a
though.
turn when it just goes really well for you. Thank you, Scrivo, for putting the link in the chat. Love you. You're such a fucking good babe. So I put no prisoners into mine, and it scored me 2 victory points earlier, which was decent. Which,
Yeah.
considering we were on average holding 3 objectives each a turn on progressive scoring. So we were about even. So it was coming down to the cards that we were achieving that was producing the difference.
Yeah.
So area denial. Score 1 victory point if there are no enemy models within 6 inches of the centre of the battlefield at the end of your turn. If there are no... Go on.
Oh, sorry. I'm just saying this card's an absolute banger because there's one mission whereby you pick 2 cards from your deck at the start of the game and then you have to score them. And then if you score them, you get to draw 2 cards for every card you scored in the previous turn. If you're going first, you auto-pick area denial and then you just say, well, that's an instant score for me.
Yeah.
So that's what. So you have to stick a model within not 12 inches of the center, because that way you stop your opponent from picking area denial and getting 2 points for it.
Easy peasy. So it's a good one. Area denial. Score which is if there are no enemy models within 12 inches of the centre of the battlefield at the end of your turn, score D3 victory points. If you go first, you just score into D3 victory points just for a laugh, which is decent.
Yeah.
So that's a good card.
Vance. Yeah.
That's a good card to have in. And you got psychological warfare, which I'll never put into my deck.
No, never. That's the first one everyone always takes out.
Banned.
Which is score 1 victory point if your opponent failed a morale test during this turn. If your opponent failed 3 or more morale tests, score D3 victory points. Problem is some armies just aren't going to be susceptible to that. So,
Most armies aren't.
Yeah.
And even it's unreliable.
but it's a good purge. A lot of those cards are really, really good, really good.
Pity about that one.
Yeah, and then you've got Kingslayer. then you've got Annihilation cards. So you've got Kingslayer, score D3 victory points if your opponent's warlord has been destroyed during this or any previous turn. Pretty good, especially as under those pack rules, you're already getting a bonus point for killing a warlord. So effectively, that's worth 3 points, which is pretty good. But you didn't put it in your list, Nick.
I did not.
You didn't put it in your dick.
I did not put it in my dick.
Put it in
I
my
probably
dick.
should have done.
Tom, do you put it in your dick?
It's one of those like mission critical objective that it's like it's on the cusp, but it's not always. Yeah.
But I do like what you said, Rob, that it's a point anyway that you're encouraged to get, so you're doubling down if you're going for that one.
But then you might be throwing good money after bad, right?
Yes.
It depends.
You might overextend to get those points, and it costs you more. Costs you more in the long run.
Yeah, exactly. You got Witch Hunter. Score 1 victory point if at least one enemy psycho was destroyed during this turn, which is a good card almost all the time, but you can't guarantee that there are going to be psychers. So I don't think I would ever put Witch Hunter in.
No.
No, I don't either.
So that just doesn't get to go in because of its nature. Scour the Skies, score 1 victory point if at least one enemy unit that can fly was destroyed during this turn. Same thing. Can't guarantee there's going to be a flying unit, so it just doesn't go in here.
But like Tom said, in a team format, it depends, because if an army list archetype is going to be flyer spam, someone who's going to be going after that flyer spam in the matchups might take that card.
Yeah, I guess if that you think that flyers are going to be so prevalent that you're going to be able to match into them.
Yeah.
But it's 1 point. Like, it's not.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
You know, you're not.
And it can equally cost you 1 point, so it's not like a risk reward that you have in domination, right? Because in domination, well, it's like, well, I'll put it in. If I don't get it, it costs me 1 point. But if I do score it, it costs me 5. It gets me 5.
Yeah.
So it's like you're making a risk assessment, and sometimes it just isn't worth it because it's only worth 1 point.
Yeah. Well, the risk is the same, but the reward is so low on this one. But on domination, it's so high, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
100%.
Then you got Assassinate, score 1 victory point if at least one enemy character was destroyed during the turn. If 3 or more enemy characters were destroyed during this turn, score D3. Yeah, and it seems like you would put Assassinate Kingslayer into your list because
I feel you put Assassinate in because it's so easy to get Assassinate most of the time because you can't protect all your characters, but Kingslayer I often struggle with.
yeah, fair enough. And then Big Game Hunter, which I put in my list, but Nick literally had no models with 10 or more wounds, which was hilarious. Which was score 1 victory point if at least one enemy unit with a wounds characteristic of 10 or more was destroyed, and if at least one enemy unit with a wounds characteristic of 20 or more was destroyed, D3. Now, I would put this in my list in case knights were there. That's always what I'd put in, so I put it in my list. Even having seen Nick's list and knowing that there was nothing in it, I would have always put this in for a tournament. Or would you not?
Sure.
Nick. Tom, do you?
Again, it's one of those where I don't really like to take a single card because it is good into a specific matchup. I prefer to just build around my win condition, and then if something blocks me, then it blocks me. It's not the end of the world.
Okay. All right. Well, I put it in there because of that.
That's fair. I get
Yeah,
it.
I kind of feel like characters, there's going to be a character in every army. Warlord, there's going to be a warlord in every army. But flyers, psychers, and big things, there's not going to be in every army.
There's going to be more big things like...
By the way,
Yeah.
I've just remembered something from last year's ETC, which is Prelude to Worlds.
Yeah.
I remember that you could swap your cards at the start of each game, which does make a difference. Because if you can swap cards, you can just put any old crap in there, and if you're against a matchup where a card is suddenly useful, like maybe I can put Witch Hunter in there because there's Psychers everywhere, like I'm playing Grey Knights 1,000 Suns, then you can swap them around. It's just worth knowing.
Okay.
But aren't they fixed on your list? I thought they were fixed on your list.
They're on, you put them on your list, but they're not fixed.
Oh. Okay.
I remember one of our teammates intentionally put all the worst cards on his list to bamboozle his opponents. It didn't work, but he did it. Yeah, there you are.
What's the point in putting it
Remember
on
that.
your list if you can swap them all around?
It was a default.
Huh?
It's so there's a default. So let's say you say, oh well, let's say you don't say that you're swapping cards, well then at least you've got some cards guaranteed in there.
Okay.
Okay, fair enough. Well, either way, I'm just going to pretend that they're stuck and you can't change them in this format.
absolutely fine.
And maybe that will be the case for Worlds, right?
It could be. Yeah, that's just last year.
Okay, good. I didn't read anything that said you could swap them around before the game started on the pack.
No.
Then the last card that there is Tactical Objective Priority Orders Received, which is when this tactical objective is generated, immediately generate a bonus tactical objective. This does not count towards the number of active tactical objectives you currently have in play. Your Warlord is the only unit that can be used to achieve the bonus tactical objective. If you achieve this, you score both the number of victory points stated on the bonus tactical objective and an additional 3 victory points if this tactical objective is discarded. So too is the bonus tactical objective. So if you draw this and then it's like hold objective 1 and you do it with your Warlord, you'll score an additional 3 bonus points. It's quite good if you have a very strong Warlord like Mortarion.
Strong and mobile.
Yeah. Or Magnus, which you don't see very often.
A lot of the time it's quite good anyway because it gives you so many points. The issue is when you have a Warlord that you absolutely need to keep alive. If your Warlord's a little bit more expendable, then you take this card. The problem with me is the number of objective cards that I could draw where I'd be willing to expose my Warlord to get it is very low. So let's say I draw overwhelming firepower with my Warlord and I have to kill something with the Stormbolter on my Librarian. Which is possible. It's a thing you can do, but there are so few instances where I'm actually going to get this card. It's mainly going to be like secure objective X, and I just happen to be stood on it, or supremacy. And those are the ones where I keep myself safe. But otherwise, I'm just not going to be willing to risk my wallet. It'll cost me way too many points to do so. Yeah, and the cost is so quite high because you remember you're discarding 2 cards in one go, aren't you? Which builds up the number of things you don't achieve.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
So
might
not-
be a use for Gazgul. Good
There
point,
you
Pure
go,
Evil.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because you don't mind if he dies.
What an evil scheme.
Because he's useless.
So, Nick, this was our first experience with it. Like, have you got any thoughts about
Did
how
you enjoy it?
I just want to tell a small anecdote about this card. So this card made Ace Face very salty in a game that we played at one of their first Hellstorm events, where I drew this card and I drew stand on the objective, which was literally 6 inches away from my warlord, and I was
Nice.
like, skills. And I scored like 4. Yeah, whatever.
Outplayed.
So yeah, that was just a prime example of how that style Maelstrom deck way back when could be just too random and just ruin games.
And you could either do nothing
From- yeah.
and get no points, no VP, or
Yeah.
you could just generate a ton. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah, I do like this style. Obviously, I've only played one game in this style, and we've talked about it a little bit, so I've not delved super deep into it. But I do like it. Is pretty cool. It's different to the different styles of 40k that we have out there.
To be fair,
it's pretty
fair,
cool.
Nikos, by the way, in that game, if Ace Face had just one-shot your entire army turn 1, it wouldn't have been a problem.
Exactly. So why didn't he use his skills and do that?
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good
It's
point.
not
the
about
hell?
cards, it's about your shit skills, mate. Fucking hell. Sort yourself out.
Well, so for me, I really liked it. Loved it would even be how I would describe it. I did say as we were playing, I was like, I don't know if we're just playing regular 40k where we're just beating the fuck out of each other and that's it, right? And then there's just cards on top which are making me think that something else is going on, right? Like, but we were also playing a mission which was progressive scoring, which I love. Like, so that was a huge bonus for me. Like, we were playing progressive scoring missions. There were 6 objectives on the board, so that felt really reasonable. I had an army that was able to take advantage of jumping around to go and get objectives, so that was a huge bonus. I also rolled super hot, which seemed really nice. But yeah,
You did, you
but,
bastard.
Yeah, but the cards seemed to add an additional element, which I wasn't doing very well. I wasn't achieving those things very well. Like at one point, I was like, "Oh, Nick, I've moved too far into that." And you were like, "Let's move it back a bit. It's fine." But yeah, it was good. It was really good.
It feels like it's the analogy that pops in my head. It's like riding a unicycle, but then also juggling at the same time.
Yep.
I
You
didn't,
have to be a proper clown to play this game.
yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know if it was that complicated though. I feel
But
like
no, but that's just like an analogy. Like you're just doing 2 things at once. Like
yeah, you are. Yeah, and I agree with you. And I think actually, like, I feel like it's a bit like when you first start playing Warhammer in any fashion, where all you're actually doing, like you said, is you're just playing your army. But like with the subterfuge of like, maybe you're going to go and try and achieve that objective. Maybe you're not trying to achieve that objective. Maybe you're trying to create that big domination. Who knows what you're going to do? Like, and knowing what's in your hand and what's coming up, knowing that you've got score objective 2, which is in your deployment, so you just get it burned and out the way really quick. Knowing, okay, I know secure objective 5 is in there, and that's all the way over the other side of the board.
Yeah.
How am I going to get that? It's not in my hand yet, so maybe now's not the time to launch across the board and go and kill it. I don't have assassinate and kill the warlord in my hand, so now's not the time to go straight after the warlord, but I need to kill the warlord because he's making their army so much better. He's a huge force multiplier. So it's a really nice way of controlling the tactics that I do, while at the same time, like, making me aware that that's my pot of points that I need to tick off. It's fun. I quite liked it. I'd like to play more like that, to be honest.
yeah, defo.
Yeah. All right. Tom, any thoughts?
I like it. So I've been playing it for 5 years.
All right.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's good shit.
It is good shit. I agree. Hopefully more of that to come. All right. Well, if you guys have been listening and you're interested, then follow the pack online and play some games and get back to us next week. Or if you can't play some games, just let us know what dick you built and why. Like your army list.
Show us your dick.
Dick pics.
Yeah, get your dick pics out.
Dick pics?
So, but also include it with your army list, or at least like a snapshot. Like, I'm playing a Tau gun line.
Summary, yeah.
Yeah, so I've done this, or I'm playing this sort of army, so I took this sort of dick, and this is why. Because it would be interesting to know what people choose and why they choose it.
Yeah.
And if people have come up with some tactics that we don't know about, right?
Definitely.
Yeah, 100%.
Right, sweet.
Go nuts.
Okay, so any final thoughts before we head off for the evening?
I'm going to ban your dice because you rolled too hot earlier.
Oh my
I'm going to
god.
melt them all down.
They were so good.
That's so rude.
They were so good. It was amazing. I also I did D6 mortal wounds for Demon Prince, rolled a 6.
And then I got D6 mortal wounds on a plane, rolled a 1.
Yeah, and then I also
Yeah.
it was just the best. I killed 2 Demon Princes in 2 turns. No,
Yeah.
in 1 turn. Oh, it was so sweet.
So I set up my...
Nikos, you know how you can fix that, mate?
What?
You can buy some Honest Wargamer dice, which
Yeah.
are really hot.
I do have 1 honest Wargamer dice in my little dice bag. Yeah. So I set
more.
up my Demon Prince in front of my Alpha Legion Berserkers, did the stratagem conceal. Not expecting the Demon Prince to tank the whole lot, but hoping he would tank maybe, I don't know, let's say 6 mech guns as just a reasonable thing. But then Rob goes smite, super smite, 6, and then the first mech gun just kills the prince straight away. That plan didn't go very well.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then
okay.
they just unloaded hell.
Yeah.
But the WAS bombs, really happy with the WAS bombs. They're my little mobile character assassins, which they're decent. You know, you potentially have got like 3d6 damage coming out of each one, and then there's potentially 6d3 damage. Now I know it all hits on 5s and 4s, but having reroll 1s to hit, and it's also high strength, good AP. So if you do hit, you're super likely to wound, and you're really likely to get past armor saves, not invuln saves, obviously. So they had a role in the army. I think they're quite expensive for that role, but they still seem good. I think. But I'm excited about maybe replacing one of them with Gazgul and having something else up in the sky that's very scary. I don't know. Fun army. But the missions were super interesting, and I honestly felt like I was playing a game and 40k at the same time instead of just shooting my opponent. So the huge positives.
Yeah.
Like, I'm excited to play more.
Yeah.
Obviously, I can never see any of you and play Warhammer with you again for like 3 to 6 weeks. So
No.
It's okay. We'll work something out. You just put an army on the table or direct you using the stream chat.
We've got ages to sit in our bedrooms, look at our dicks.
yeah, and perfect the perfect dicks.
Play with our
Yeah.
decks, yes.
All right. Well, Tom, any final thoughts?
Nope, not really.
Okay, nice.
All right.
All right. Well, our love goes out to you, Tom, while you're still working during these trying times.
Oh, mate, I'll be
If I could
I'll be all
offer-
right. We'll work out what we're going to do next week. We need to see who's exactly
If
going to
we
be
had
on the
any
rotor.
eggs, we'd
So
offer
it'd
it
be
you.
fun.
Yeah, if I had any eggs, I'd offer you them in this trying time, but I don't.
Unlucky.
Yeah.
No one has any eggs. They've all been hoarded.
Yeah. If you have been watching live, thank you very much. I hope you've enjoyed it. And if you've been listening to the podcast, stay hydrated. Drink lots of water. Get some vitamin D. If you are staying at home, it doesn't.
Vitamin Dex.
Yeah, vitamin Dex. It doesn't hurt to do some like star jumps or a couple of push-ups. Like make yourself just get some blood pumping. Something.
Convert your garage into a personal gym while you're stuck in
Any
your
of
house.
those. It's something I definitely do not do enough of. But just stay healthy in this trying time, and loads of love. And I know it can't be great. If anyone feels like they're having a tough time and they need to reach out, or any of us are available for that. So please do. Love you all loads. Thank you to everyone on the Patreon. And thank you to everyone who works in any medical service in any fashion.
Yeah.
Teachers, people who work in supermarkets, just basically anyone who's keeping everything going. I don't know.
Anyone who's working in the toilet paper factories right now must be working 24/7.
Do you watch The American Office?
No.
Oh, so there's an amazing scene in The American Office where Dwight is just unplying. Because you know how you've got...
Oh, yeah, 2.
Yeah,
so
he's just turning them into 2.
Yeah.
I've been doing that for weeks. Yeah, I'm selling
Spreading
the
it,
thinnest toilet
spreading it
paper you've ever seen. Anyway, right, let's get going. You guys, look after yourselves. You guys are wonderful. Thanks so much, Nick.
Thanks, dudes.
Thank you so much, Tom.
No problem, mate. Good to see you.
We'll see you guys soon. Mousebat, Scrivo, Datcom, Jimmy 1080, Valerie. He says raid, but I don't know who to raid. Someone
raid.
give...
Mohawk
Raid,
Miniatures
raid.
is online.
Yeah,
Raid
Raid
him.
Mohawk.
Okay, /raid. Mohawk. Is it miniatures?
Mohawk Miniatures, one word. So Mohawk.
It might be taking you. Has it worked?
I'll just copy and paste it into the chat, my dude.
All right,
Like,
you do that.
so-
I've tried anyway. Goodbye, podcast guys. Love you loads.
Goodbye.
There we go. Toilet paper machines.
Bye bye. Let me just get the chat up.
Did I do it?
One
I think I
second.
did it.
Have you done it?
I tried.
Have you? Hold up.
See
I'm
that,
just waiting for the
Pokey
chat to load. This is the name of the channel. If you want to try and read that.
Did I just spell it wrong? Is that my problem? Yeah, probably.
I don't know. Try it.
All right, let's give it a try.
Try that.
/read.
Is-
By the way, if
Read
you guys
that.
are watching on any of the other platforms, this is what happens on Twitch. You can just go and engage with people. There we go. I've done it, boys.
Yeah, there we go.
Let's go.
Let's go raid.
Raid. It worked.
Shadow Legends
Let's subscribe now.
for 100,000 free silver and a free champion.
I've actually played that game. It's fantastic fun.
Is it?
Yeah, really good. Right, see you guys later. Loads of love. Goodbye.
Bye.
See you in a bit, guys. Bye.
I don't know if it stopped. Has it stopped?
Are you
I
guys
don't know.
still
I'm trying
there?
to watch a stream.
Is anyone still there?
My balls are so sweaty.
Chat, can you tell us if we're offline yet?